Chapter 667. Mama Yi did not expect Mu Tangxue to come out like this. She quickly said, "You bitch. Aren't you afraid of offending public decency by coming out like this? Isn't it all because of you?" Mu Tangxue splashed the cup of warm water on Mama Ye's face. "You really put in a lot of effort to stop me from marrying your son. You drugged me and gave me a man. Do you think I will let your son go just because I am ashamed? No, your whole family tortured me like this. Where do you think you're going now? When I was young, your son tortured my sister and pushed her into the swimming pool. When I grew up, your son refused to marry anyone but me and kept me by his side. It's all your son's fault. Why do you have to take revenge on me?" Mu Tangxue screamed as if she had gone crazy. "Don't talk nonsense. Are you out of your mind?" Mu Tangxue walked to the center of the stage with her arms bare. Then she stood in front of Yi Jingqing. "In order to get me, you threatened me with Mr. Lu's life. I compromised. I'm willing to marry you. But why didn't you control your mother? Why did you let me suffer so much? Are the Yi family all devils? Yi Jingqing, how can I marry you after your mother made me like this? I've already asked the people at the hotel, and they found out that your mother was the one who drugged me. I, Mu Tangxue, was humiliated 1,000 times in front of the Yi family." Tangxue. Yi Jingqing's heart ached. "I didn't know it would become like this. You don't know what you can't do to get me? Now the whole world knows that I had sex with another man before I got engaged to you. Are you going to keep wearing me like a broken shoe?" Yi Jingqing reached out his hand. But he felt ashamed to grab Mu Tangxue, because it was Mama Yi who did it. It was the person closest to him who did it. "What I gave you is the drug that caused you to be in a coma. It's not a drug that makes you seduce men. You are debauched. What excuse do you find to slander me?" At this moment, Yimu finally couldn't bear to roar out. That being said, it also confirmed that she had drugged Mu Tangxue. "You admit that you drugged me. That's good." Mu Tangxue laughed miserably. "Yi Jingqing, even if you still have the face to ask me to marry you, I will never marry you again. Because your whole family is full of scum. Scum through and through." In the end, Yi Jingqing reached out and grabbed Mu Tangxue, but she quickly dodged his hand. "Get lost." A mother-in-law set up her daughter-in-law to sleep with someone else on the day of her engagement. If this gets out, your family will be the laughingstock for the rest of your life. "Tangxue, I know. You still won't let me go, but it's fine. I know very well that you'll only let me go if I die in front of you, right?" With that, Mu Tangxue crashed into the stone pillar of the ceremonial platform. The MC was shocked and quickly hugged Mu Tangxue. "Don't do anything stupid." Mu Tangxue sat on the ground and cried, her heart breaking. When Yi Jingqing saw Mu Tangxue breaking down like this, the last line of defense in his heart was finally broken. "I don't want to marry you. I don't want to." Mu Qiqi stood below the stage. Her expression was very calm from the beginning to the end. She still thought that Mu Tangxue acted well, but she was not smart enough. Although this method humiliated the Yi family, it also hurt herself. Wasn't it not worth it to use her innocence to punish Yi Jingqing? However, she seemed to understand Mu Tangxue's grievances. Her current actions showed that she had given up on herself. On the stage, Yi Jingqing couldn't help but take 2 steps back. After such a long dream, he finally woke up. So, he walked up to Mr. and Mrs. Yi and told them, "You won't have a son anymore. In this lifetime." Then he left the hotel, abandoned everything behind him, and drove his sports car as fast as he could on the road. Although Mr. and Mrs. Yi hated Mu Tangxue, they felt that it was more important to pursue their son now. So they ignored the guests and chased after her. The guests left one after another. At this time, Mu Qiqi walked up to Mu Tangxue, took off her beige coat and put it on her. "You did it on purpose. It's not over yet." Mu Tangxue looked at Mu Qiqi and smiled. "Sister, do you know? We've been fighting for so long, but today is the happiest day for me. Because I did something that I wanted to do instead of following in your footsteps and being your shadow." Mama Yi is an idiot. She thought I didn't know what she was going to do. But she didn't expect that even if she didn't drug him today, I would still do it and slander her. Let me tell you a secret. Yi Jingqing's car was tampered with. Even if he doesn't die today, when he realizes that it was all my plan, do you think he will feel like 1,000 arrows piercing his heart? This is the price he has to pay for touching Mr. Lu. At this moment, Mu Tangxue did not look like she was in pain. She only looked happy. She had sacrificed everything for Mr. Lu. "Sister, arrest me. I should have gone in earlier to atone for Grandma and Mommy. If there's a next life, I will learn from you and be a good person. At least, when I fall in love with someone, I won't have to lie to hide my filth anymore." Mu Qiqi did not say anything. Giving her a coat was already the most benevolent thing she could do. As for whether Mu Tongxue was guilty or not, it was not within her jurisdiction as a forensic assistant. On the road in Jianchuan, a blue Lamborghini was speeding on the road. The traffic police tried to stop it, but it was too late. Yi Jingqing hit the guardrail and the car flipped over. When Mama Yi saw it, she fainted. But the miracle was that Yi Jingqing was not dead at all. He could not die. After all, he had to live to hear the truth. Mu Qiqi did not like such a bloody ending. At least, she did not need to pay for what she had suffered when she was young with a human life. After all, she knew how precious life was. It was good that Yi Jingqing was not dead. Just as Mu Tongxue said, she was looking forward to Yi Jingqing's expression when he found out about this. After what happened today, the Yi family would not have the face to stay in Jianchuan anymore. When Mu Qiqi saw this, she could not help but look back at her man. Xiao, give her a place to settle down. It's best to throw her in Zhongting's factory. She should never come out to see people or harm people again. Chapter 668. Yi Jingqing's left hand had a comminuted fracture, and his brain had a slight concussion. In addition, he had all sorts of external injuries. If he wanted to fully recover, he would have to stay in bed for at least a month. After the surgery, Yi Jingqing woke up from his coma. When he saw his parents standing at the head of the bed, his expression was unusually cold. Jingqing, my life. Mama Yi immediately rushed over and lay in front of Yi Jingqing. You're finally awake. Do you know that you scared Mom and Dad to death? Let's go. Yi Jingqing's voice was hoarse and dry as if he had been rubbing on sandpaper. Mama Yi was stunned for a moment. Then she said to Yi Jingqing, silly son, do you know that all the plans today were planned by that woman? Mom did drug him, but it was a knockout drug. How could I let my son be so humiliated? Besides, the police have checked your car just now and found that there are stones under your brakes. Isn't this going to kill you? Jingqing, you have to believe me. Yi Jingqing didn't want to hear anything. He just wanted to sleep. So, no matter how Mama Yi explained, he just closed his eyes. Mama Yi was helpless. In the end, she could only keep quiet and let Yi Jingqing rest. She would definitely find evidence of Mu Tongshue's cruelty. It was all because of that woman that the Yi family ended up like this. When Mu Tongxue woke up again, she was already in Zhongting's internal factory. It was a completely enclosed place. If you didn't go out first, no one could find you. I'm the person in charge of the factory. Miss Mu, you can call me Manager Gao. According to Madam's instructions, I've arranged a room and a position for you. If you're willing to stay here, your treatment will be similar to that of Zhongting's interns. Zhongting. Mu Tongxue murmured. It seems that I have no other place to go except here. Don't worry. It's absolutely safe here. No one can find you unless you're willing. I didn't expect that it would be my sister who gave me a way out in the end. As long as Mr. Lu lived well and she didn't see Yi Jingqing, it would be heaven for her. After the engagement party, the whole Yi family was caught in a scandal. The news that Mama Yi drugged her daughter-in-law and caused her to be humiliated spread everywhere. Everyone was criticizing her. So, her image as an evil mother-in-law must have been deeply rooted in people's hearts. The Yi family would not be shaken by this matter, but it would definitely be laughed at. Unfortunately, Father Yi and Mother Yi were such people who cared about their faces. Now, apart from staying in the hospital, the two of them refused to go anywhere. In fact, it was to avoid the gossip of the outside world. After Yi Jingqing woke up, he didn't talk to his parents at all. He didn't even blink. He was in a daze all day because he had a lot of questions in his mind. He just wanted to find a chance to run out of the hospital. Soon Yi Mu left the ward to the bathroom, but when she came back, she saw that the person who should have been lying in bed had disappeared. Yi Jingqing went to the hotel and found the man who was having sex with Mu Tongxue in the room. Seeing that Yi Jingqing was covered in wounds, the man was frightened and quickly begged for mercy. Mr. Yi, I don't know anything. I didn't have sex with your wife. She just asked me to act. Yi Jingqing grabbed his collar and pushed him against the wall. If you dare to say a word, I will make you wish you were dead. It's true. Your wife is really good at acting. I really didn't touch her. Yi Jingqing couldn't use force, so he let go of the waiter's collar and leaned against the wall, panting. Other than this, what else do you know? I think your wife really doesn't want to get engaged to you. She even asked another colleague of ours to buy some medicine for her. As you know, the hotel has that kind of service. They also have a special channel to get the special medicine. Get lost. Yi Jingqing understood what he meant. It was all a show that Mu Tongxue had written and directed. It turned out that his mother's explanation was true. Mu Tongxue didn't want to marry him from the beginning. She even embarrassed him so much and tampered with his car. Did she want him to die that badly? Mu Tangxue, how could you be so cruel? Did I make you feel so bad? Then Mama Yi caught up with him and saw her son kneeling on the carpet. She quickly went to help him. Jingqing, get up. Get up. Get lost, all of you. Yi Jingqing said helplessly. Am I not good enough to her? I treat her with all my heart, but I didn't expect that someone would want to kill me. Jingqing, she's the bitch. It's not your fault. Yi Jingqing broke free from Mama Ye's grip and walked out of the hotel. Mu Tangxue, come out. Come out now. Yi Jingqing shouted on the street, completely ignoring the traffic. Don't you want me dead? I'll die in front of you now. Is this the only way to avenge your Mr. Lu? Bitch. After shouting, Yi Jingqing turned around and stopped in front of a big truck. Then he heard the brakes. Mama Yi, who was chasing after him, saw Yi Jingqing's body and flew out. Son Jingqing. Was there anything more exciting than this? No. Mu Tangxue would rather destroy her innocence than be with him. She had never seen him as a lowly person in her heart. She only loved Mr. Lu. At this moment, Yi Jingqing felt that there was no meaning in living anymore. He just wanted to end it all. He just wanted to sleep for a long time. Late at night, Mu Qiqi received the news that Yi Jingqing had committed suicide. Not only did he want to die, but he also wanted to harm other people's truck drivers. What did other people do wrong? Mu Qiqi had no pity for people like Yi Jingqing. He was a scumbag who did not deserve anyone's pity. But maybe he was lucky or something else, he did not die. But his limbs were broken. Even if he recovered, he would be disabled for life. Maybe it was because she saw the news on the news. Although the news was very subtle, it said that a man surnamed Yi committed suicide for love and endangered traffic safety. However, when she saw him a few days ago, he was still arrogant and haughty. So, Feng Shanshan said to Tang Yen while drinking milk, Mu Qiqi's sister is really capable. Is this your attitude towards this matter? Tang Yen asked Feng Shanshan as he tidied up the coffee table. I know you respect life, but this scumbag really doesn't deserve any pity. Love can't be forced. It's fine if it was a normal woman, but she dared to mess with a drama queen. She deserved it. Tang Yen glanced at her and did not say anything. He just let her be. In fact, this matter, at the end of the day, was about the mutual affection between women. Chapter 669. Do you have something to say to me? Although Tang Yen could not get to Feng Shanshan's heart, he knew the general direction. When this person needed someone's help, he would definitely smile mischievously. Of course, he did not know that Feng Shanshan and Mu Qiqi were very similar in this aspect. Feng Shanshan lowered her head and drew circles on his muscular chest. Aren't you a boxing champion? You can fight and fight. Can you teach me some self-defense skills? I don't want to lose to Mu Qiqi. You can't learn these things in one go. It depends on years of hard work. Are you sure you can do it? If Mu Qiqi can do it, why can't I? Tang Yen looked at her for a while and finally said, Okay. I'll change the bedroom next door to let you practice martial arts. In the police station you always pretend that you don't know me, and I don't get any special privileges. So, I want you to teach me martial arts. That should be a special expression of mine in your heart, right? Yes. It was rare for Tang Yen to be so easy to talk to. Feng Shanshan was very satisfied. It was all thanks to their open talk. Feng Shanshan was a very easy person to satisfy. At least, her boyfriend had changed from a second-generation rich man to the captain of the criminal police force. It could be said that she was mentally prepared, right? That night, the one who had a complicated feeling was Mu Qiqi. Seeing Yi Jingqing in such a miserable state, she was, of course, happy. But at the same time, she felt a little uncomfortable. Because all these things happened to her sister. They were twins. Mu Tangxue was disheartened. It was normal for her to feel it. After Xing Xiao finished his shower, he came out of the bathroom. Seeing the little one in a daze on the bed, he walked over and hugged her. I don't remember teaching you to be sentimental. Your wife is very emotional. She learned it without a teacher. You don't have many days left, right? Xing Xiao suddenly reminded her. I really want to graduate early. Mu Qiqi was a little worried. Then I can focus on solving cases and don't have to run between school and the police station every day. You're right. There are some things that can't be taught in school. Mu Qiqi looked up at Xing Xiao in confusion. Then Xing Xiao leaned over seductively and moved the tip of his nose closer. For example, love. Bah! I remember third brother asking me if you have the final say in the family. He even used an idiom. Do you remember? Mu Qiqi lowered her head and thought for 2 seconds. Then her face turned red. Let's try it tonight? Up and down. That was not a problem, but Muchichi was considering that her waist was not strong enough. The next day Muchichi was still sleeping when she heard her phone ringing. Having tormented the man for most of the night, Xingxiao picked up Muchichi's phone and walked to the window to answer a call. Initially he wanted to let her sleep a little longer, but it seemed that it was impossible now. In a high-end residential area in the city, there was another mass suicide incident last night. Hearing this, Muchichi naturally opened her eyes and propped herself up. Clean up and have breakfast. I'll send you to the crime scene. Who still remembers the condition of young Master Yi who was lying in a pool of blood yesterday? This page should be flipped over so decisively. Muchichi believed that with Mu Tongshue's disappearance, Yi Jingqing would not do anything for the time being, because he could not afford to be hurt. Soon Xingxiao sent Muchichi to a high-end residential area in the city. This time for people died again. But the way they committed suicide was slightly different from the previous ones. Because Tang Yen and the others had arrived earlier, they had a clear understanding of the case. When he saw the car that Xingxiao used to send Muchichi to work, he put down his white gloves and walked over. I haven't officially greeted you, Tang Yen. Xingxiao looked at Tang Yen from the driver's seat and extended his hand. I've heard a lot about you. If you have time we can have a good chat. After all, there are employees of Zhongting among the people who died today. Sheng Zhao's eyes instantly looked up, his deep eyes flashing with a dangerous glint. If you need Zhongting's help in the investigation just let me know. Just one thing. Please take care of my people, Captain Tang. Who can compete with your influence in Jianchuan, Chief Sheng? Tang Yan's words sounded a little sarcastic, but Xing Xiao did not mind it. No one can compete with me. But the employees are still dead. If you have any questions look for my secretary. Zhongting will assist in the investigation. After saying this Xing Xiao glanced at Muchichi. That heartless little thing actually did not look back at all. Then Xing Xiao reversed the car and left the high-end residential area where the crime happened. Tang Yan's eyes told Xing Xiao that there was a story behind him. Xing Xiao knew that this person was someone important. If he really wanted to ensure the little thing's safety, he had to maintain a good relationship with this person. At this moment, Muchichi felt a headache at the crime scene. She really did not expect that there would be employees of Zhongting among them. If this matter were to spread, it would definitely cause rumors again. Previously, the other branch offices had closed the case as suicide and completely ignored the suspicions of Tang Yen and the others. Now that someone had died, they knew that the matter could not be hidden anymore. Someone needed to take the blame. So, wasn't the blame still on the Special Investigations team? Just like last time, the 4 victims are all men between the ages of 18 to 20. They died almost at the same time. One of them had his throat cut, one took poison and the other 2 were strangled to death while the other was stabbed to death. From the results of the investigation at the scene, there are no traces of other people, so we rule out the possibility of others committing the crime. These children committed suicide again. They're so young. What? By the way, one of the children has a very special identity. He just passed the probation period of Zhongting and became an official employee. As for the others, we'll have to investigate them thoroughly. Are we going to close the case as suicide this time? The professor raised his head and looked at Tang Yen. I'll report it now and apply to close the case. Tang Yen walked out of the crime scene with his phone in his hand. His tone was rather sarcastic. Muchichi looked at these young children and felt a little uncomfortable. She really did not want Zhongting to be involved in this. This was a murder case. Previously, Chief Cha did not allow it. Now no one dares to take this hot potato. We're the only ones who can. If he had allowed it earlier, this case might have been solved quickly. Feng Shanshan felt wronged for her man. Muchichi looked at her and did not say anything. Are you worried that Zhongting will not be involved? Muchichi nodded, feeling a little uneasy. They're just employees of Zhongting. What can that prove? Besides, how do you think Xing Xiao uses his brain? He's not someone that those people can frame. Do you have no confidence in your man? Chapter 670. Which man doesn't hate evil? Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes at Muchichi. Don't think too much. It's fine as long as we get to the bottom of it. Muchichi nodded. Thinking that she was surrounded by capable people, she was not so worried anymore. Tang Yen actually went to apply to close the case. The chief looked at him for a while and rolled his eyes at him. You're deliberately mocking me for not letting you investigate before, right? Now there are 8 lives and the higher-ups want us to solve the case within a time limit. I didn't think it through before. I'll try to give you a few more days. Do as you see fit. Then, the chief asked the police in the previous district to transfer the information of the 4 victims to the special investigations team of the branch because they had to investigate the case together. Then, Tang Yin held a meeting in the police station to sort out the clues and connections. Within a month, there were 2 consecutive mass suicides. Now let's sort out the key points. They were all male, around 18 to 20 years old. Their family conditions were difficult. Due to various reasons, they all dropped out of school and worked outside. This is the similarity that can be found in these 8 people. Now, let's talk about the current situation in your hands, Tang Yin said as he looked at everyone, especially at the information analyst. It's like this. I put the information of these 8 people on the internet for screening. Then I found that these 8 people like to surf the internet. Other than sleeping at work, they basically surf in internet cafes. The information analyst said. If there must be a medium to gather the 8 people together and make them agree and reach a certain understanding, the only way is to surf the internet. The forensics department, 8 people. 4 of them killed each other and the other 4 committed suicide. Their methods were crude and they were indeed aiming for death. So, there's nothing special about them. Of course, I've given a detailed description of all the murder weapons, including the bayonet, electric shock stick, and potassium cyanide. This should help you find the source of the murder weapons, the professor explained. Tang Yin nodded. It seemed that they really could not rely on the forensics department for this case. The only thing we can do is to find out if there are any similarities between these 8 corpses. Mu Qiqi, what do you think? Tang Yin looked at Mu Qiqi after hearing the professor's words. For people in a group, 2 people kill each other and 2 people commit suicide. It seems to be some kind of fixed procedure. Don't you think this is some kind of ritual or some kind of game? I think the key lies in what these 8 people read on the internet before they died. I think that if we do a cross-screening, we should be able to get some answers we want. Tang Yin nodded and looked at Feng Shanshan. What do you think? This man still knew to give her a chance to speak. I have a friend who likes to play online games. Whether it's domestic or overseas, he's very proficient. I'll go and ask him if this is something that's trending online recently. Here's the arrangement. The professor and the other forensic doctors will examine the body again to see if we missed any important information. Little Luo and Little Gao, go to the internet cafes that these 8 people frequent and ask around about the situation. Chi-Chi, you and Little Long will visit the families of the 8 victims and see if you can find anything. I remember that one of them is an employee of Zhongting. When you go to Zhongting, try to keep a low profile. Don't cause any trouble for the military industry in the country. After all, they are just employees of Zhongting. Feng Shanshan and I will go to the internet police for help and visit her friend. Although you are studying forensic science, you have enough brains. You can choose other things in the future. Let's go now. Tang Yan's words made Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan look at each other. It turned out that this man knew how to use his power for personal gain. He still knew how to get some benefits for himself. Soon the team split up. Still, Mu Qiqi was feeling rather conflicted. Contact me if there's any news, Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi when she got into Tang Yan's car. Mu Qiqi nodded and got into another police car. You usually avoid going with me. What's wrong today? Feng Shanshan sat in the passenger seat and could not help but ask Tang Yan. I have a feeling that your friend might really be able to provide important clues, Tang Yan answered as he drove. However, the sun was too strong. He was too lazy to do it himself, so he said to Feng Shanshan, sunglasses. Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes and did not argue with him. Since they were outside, she would listen to him. On the other hand, Mu Qiqi gave Xing Xiao a call. She was going to Zhongting for an interview later. She asked the relevant people to wait for her. Xing Xiao hung up and smiled helplessly at the phone. She was indeed the little one he had raised. Now she even found out about him. Then he called the internal line and called the secretary in. Your madam is coming later. Wait for her. I know. Madam is coming to visit because of that employee. I've already asked the people below to arrange for the relevant people to wait. Don't worry, Xiao. The secretary answered respectfully. I just don't know if she needs me to wait by her side when she comes later. Wait. Just wait. If she needs anything, just cooperate with her. Okay. The secretary seemed a little excited. Xing Xiao saw it and was a little confused. The secretary quickly explained, because I like Madam very much and I want to see her professional appearance. She's my idol. Xing Xiao snorted. His secretary had become that little one's fan? Let's go. Because the light emitted from that little one's body was really eye-catching. Soon, Mu Qiqi brought the senior to Zhongting's building. When she entered the door, she did not need to report at all. She did not need to arrange anything. This made the senior a little embarrassed. Chichi, Zhongting's management shouldn't be so lax, right? Senior, have you forgotten? I'm the boss's wife. Mu Chichi smiled. As she said that, Xing Zhao's secretary walked in front of Mu Chichi. Madam, the HR manager and the child superior are already waiting. Chapter 671. Soon, the secretary brought the two of them into the conference room, where the HR manager and another person in charge were already sitting. The two of them only knew that the police would come to question them, but they did not know that it was their wife. The HR manager immediately understood the identity of the person who came. The victim's boss, on the other hand, was not particularly familiar with Mu Chichi's identity because he had been in the factory for a long time. Madam, this is the child's resume. The HR manager handed the information to Mu Chichi. This child's name is Luo Mingxian. He's 20 years old and has just worked in Zhongting for 3 months. He has passed the internship period. 2 days ago, his superior just gave him a report to be promoted. We know all this. I want to know something else. So, Mu Chichi turned her gaze to Luo Mingxuan's boss. Officer, I'm the technician in charge of Luo Mingxuan's training. My surname is Lin. The man was only in his early 30s. He was mature and steady. His answers were logical and direct. This child graduated from an advanced technical school. Otherwise, according to Zhongting's recruitment standards, he would not be qualified to join. He's an honest person. Other than going to work, he's playing with his computer in the dormitory. His social circle is very small. Most of the time he goes to and from work with me. He doesn't have any bad habits. He came from a poor family. It was his uncle who helped him out so he could study. I heard from him that his parents divorced when he was very young and went their separate ways. His grandmother has cerebral palsy and his grandfather is a gambler. So, all these years he has been working hard to break away from his original family. Other than these, did you notice anything different about him from others, Mr. Lin? Mu Chichi looked at him very seriously. This was completely different from how Mu Chichi usually appeared in Zhongting. Hence, the secretary could not take her eyes off Mu Chichi. It's quite normal. He just doesn't like others touching his computer. I think it's personal privacy, so it's nothing special. He has a day off at the end of every week. Sometimes he goes out, but I don't know who he meets. Is his computer still there? Mu Chichi asked. The night before his accident, his computer was broken, so he told me that he was going out to fix it. Early the next morning, he left and took the computer away. Mr. Lin, please inform his family. If the police have any other questions, we will come and ask them again, Mu Chichi said to Mr. Lin. Okay, no problem. The other party nodded very cooperatively. If there's nothing else, I'll go back to the factory. With that, he stood up. Mu Chichi caught a glimpse of his hand and furrowed her brow. So, before he left the room, she asked, Mr. Lin, you must have been working as a technician for many years, right? Yes, it's been 11 years. It's fine. I'll look for you if I need anything. Mu Chichi did not tell him why she was asking. He waited until they were far away before asking the HR manager. Where did he work before he came to Zhongting? The HR manager thought for a moment and replied, I'm a veteran in the military enterprise. Why do you ask? What kind of technology would require the use of wrist joints? Isn't it strange to have a callus scar on that area? Mu Chichi looked at her wrist and said. Then she turned around and asked the cute secretary, Sister, how long have you been a secretary? 8 years. Do you use the computer often? Of course, the secretary replied. Then please raise your hand. The secretary did as she was told and showed Mu Chichi the condition of her wrist joints. 8 years of use had only caused a slight callus scar on her wrist joints. How bad would it be to have calluses like Mr. Lin's? Chichi, what do you suspect? Senior Long asked. I suspect that he's also an old internet addict, Mu Chichi replied. Of course, I just don't want to miss any information related to Luo Mingxian. The most important thing now is to find Luo Mingxuan's computer. Manager, can you get the video of Luo Mingxian leaving Zhongting's dormitory that day? I want to confirm if Luo Mingxian took his computer out. Yes, madam. Also, I need a list of the employees who have contact with Luo Mingxian. I hope you can prepare it for me. No problem. The manager nodded. This person is gone from Zhongting. You have to be careful of the media. The reason why the criminal investigation team brought me is because it's normal for me to appear in Zhongting. It won't attract attention. You have to do the best PR at all times. Careful. Senior Long could not help but give Mu Chichi a thumbs up. That's why it's really a waste of talent to let you be a forensic doctor. I just felt relieved, but now I'm worried again, Mu Chichi said meaningfully. Madam, do you want to see the CEO? He's in his office, the secretary asked attentively. Senior Long, wait for me for 10 minutes. Mu Chichi had something to say to Xing Xiao. Go. Mu Chichi nodded and followed the secretary. The two of them entered Xing Xiao's office through the special elevator. Are you done? Xing Xiao looked up and saw Mu Chichi. Mu Chichi sat on Xing Xiao's lap and sighed. I came to ask questions. I thought it was just a routine inquiry. This matter has nothing to do with Zhongting. But now I don't think it's that simple. What's the problem? The problem lies with Luo Mingxuan's superior, Mr. Lin. When I asked him about things related to Luo Mingxian, his answer was indeed watertight, and there was nothing suspicious about it. However, he did not tell me that he also likes to surf the internet, and that he is addicted to it. This deliberate avoidance makes me feel uncomfortable. I think he knows the inside story. That's why he deliberately avoided it. Xing Xiao saw Mu Chichi's serious look and pinched her nose. Forensic Dr. Mu is really observant. Don't worry, go. I'll arrange the rest of the things you want to do. You know me well. Mu Chichi reached out and hugged Xing Xiao. Xiao Xiao, Zhongting has just been established. I know your evaluation system is very strict. But don't ignore the impossible just because you are strict. I don't want Zhongting to be humiliated because of this. You little thing. How old are you and you already want to protect me, huh? Chapter 672. Xing Xiao lowered his head and kissed her lips for a moment. Finally he smiled. Got it? Go. Mu Chichi left the matter of the Lin family to Xing Xiao, and left Zhongting with Brother Long. It was only then that Xing Xiao called Su Che out. Go and investigate that Lin man. Report to me immediately if you find anything. Understood. Su Che immediately took action. Xing Xiao would only feel at ease leaving such matters to Su Che. Madam seems to be worried that Zhongting will be implicated. After Mu Chichi left, the secretary said to Xing Xiao, they probably don't want the president to get involved in this mess. Xing Xiao didn't say anything. He knew what the little one was thinking. She had placed him at the center of her heart. On the other hand, Feng Shanshan brought Tang Yen to find her friend who was good at online games. The other party was currently fighting in the club. From the looks of it, he should have some family background to be able to spend money in such a high-class place. Shanshan? The man thought he was seeing things. I haven't seen you in a long time. Are you here to see me? This is Officer Tang from the Jianchuan branch's Special Investigations team. He's here to ask you something. Feng Shanshan briefly introduced Tang Yen behind her and sat down beside the man. I'm a good citizen. I definitely didn't do anything illegal. Don't be nervous. We just want to know if there are any interesting online games on the market recently. I know you're proficient in foreign news, so I came to find you. Feng Shanshan immediately explained. Oh, then what kind of games do you want to know? As you know, there are many types of games. There are puzzle games, training games, and competitive games. Are there any types of games that require 4 people to form a team and have their characters enter the game or roleplay? Let me think about it. Are there any other details? The man with the crew cut asked. This shouldn't be called an online game, right? 2 people committed suicide, 2 people killed each other. The other party shook his head. Is there such a perverted game? I've never heard of it. It can't be a popular game right now. Otherwise I would definitely know of it. Feng Shanshan sighed and patted him on the shoulder. All right, thank you. It's fine now. Continue playing. After saying that, Feng Shanshan got up. She thought that she could get something out of this man. But now it seemed that he had made a wasted trip. But just as they were about to leave, the man stopped her. Wait, Shanshan. I just remembered something. What is it? Recently, there's a new forum called the Dark Abyss. I heard that this forum is very popular and very mysterious. It said that someone went in before and was scared out. I don't know if there's any information you're looking for, but you can give it a try. All right, I understand. Feng Shanshan remembered this forum called the Dark Abyss. Your new boyfriend, right? Quite handsome, better than the scumbag from before. Before Feng Shanshan left, the man gave Feng Shanshan a thumbs up. Seize it. Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes at him. How could his eyes be so sharp? After that, the two of them left. Tang Yen immediately called the information analyst at the bureau and asked him to pay attention to the forum called the Dark Abyss. Are you familiar with this internet addict? Are you asking this as my boyfriend or as Captain Tang? Feng Shanshan deliberately frowned and asked Tang Yen, if it's Captain Tang, aren't you being too nosy? Boyfriend. High school classmate. Are you satisfied? Feng Shanshan raised her eyebrows and asked Tang Yen, can I treat Captain Tang's behavior as jealousy? Tang Yin did not say anything. He just reached out and opened the door of the SUV. Feng Shanshan followed behind and snickered. She felt a lot more comforted because she finally felt that she had some place in Tang Yan's heart. At least, if it was in the past, he would not have done such a boring thing and asked such a boring question. Several teams gathered at the bureau in the afternoon, and each of them brought back different information. There shouldn't be any big problems with Zhongting, right? Feng Shanshan asked quickly when she saw Mu Qiqi. It's hard to say. Mu Qiqi thought of Mr. Lin. However, I also feel that it might be because I've gotten used to looking at people with suspicion recently. Everyone looks like a murderer. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Tell us later and let everyone analyze it together. Won't we know? What about your side? Do you have any clues? I know about a forum called the Dark Abyss. For the time being, I don't know if it has anything to do with these two suicide cases. Mu Qiqi nodded. Everyone sat in the conference room of the bureau. Tang Yin had just come out of the autopsy room and was about to hold a meeting with everyone. However, at this moment, the chief brought a tall female police officer in a police uniform to everyone. I found a helper for you. This is Officer Gao. She specializes in fighting cybercriminals and has a lot of experience, the chief introduced. Tang Yin, you're still in charge of commanding, but you should listen to Officer Gao's opinion. She's an expert in this area. As soon as the chief finished speaking, the tall and slender Officer Gao walked up to Tang Yin and extended her hand. I've heard a lot about you. Welcome. Tang Yin was obviously just being polite. We're preparing for a meeting now. Officer Gao, will you join us? Of course. There are already 8 deaths now. It's just that. I'm a little curious. Why are there so many young girls in your special investigations team? They're forensic assistants. Do assistants have to attend meetings too? I thought they weren't official staff and didn't have the right to speak on the case. After saying that, Officer Gao deliberately looked at Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan looked at each other and then got up from the table. You guys go ahead. We'll go to where we should be. Sit down, Tang Yin ordered. I'm still in charge here. Officer Gao's expression was obviously a little ugly. Although she had long heard of Tang Yan's straightforward personality and bad temper, she did not expect him to not give others any face. After all, they were of the same rank. These 2 children are used to following me to the field, so there's no need to send them away. Of course, Captain Tang has the final say here. The other party obviously did not intend to continue to push Tang Yan's buttons. However, Feng Shanshan was already obviously unhappy. This was because a woman's intuition had always been very accurate. This Officer Gao might not only be here for the case, but also for the man. Chapter 673. Now, tell me about your findings, Qiqi. We visited the families of the 8 victims and conducted a comprehensive investigation of their social media accounts, but we didn't find any useful information. The only impression these victims' friends and relatives had of the deceased was that they were addicted to the internet. However, because surfing the internet is actually a very private matter, they don't know what the deceased usually did online. Mu Qiqi made a simple summary. At the same time, we also found a very strange point. The computers of these 8 victims were either damaged or lost for various reasons. Other teams continue. After Tang Yin heard this, he turned his gaze to the others. According to the information you provided, Captain Tang, we found the forum called the Dark Abyss. However, there are extremely high conditions to access this forum. Not to mention that the entrance is difficult to find, the address is fluctuating. According to the requirements, registered members need to pay a deposit of 100,000 yuan before they can officially join. We haven't been able to decipher it yet, so we can't check the contents for the time being. After hearing this, Officer Gao, who was sitting in her seat, laughed. This is a typical cybercrime. It should be under the jurisdiction of our department. We really shouldn't let you run errands for nothing. Officer Gao, what do you think? I can give you a detailed explanation now, but I don't want any unofficial colleagues to be present. After all, they're not from the police station. If the news gets out, who will bear the responsibility? After all, didn't this woman still feel that Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan were eye-catching? Therefore, the 2 of them consciously stood up. Captain Tang, let's go back to the forensics laboratory first. Tang Yin glanced at her and nodded. How about this? Officer Gao said that this case is a cybercrime and doesn't belong to our major crimes division. I'll go to the chief now and hand the case over to you. Officer Gao's expression turned ugly again. She really didn't expect Tang Yin to protect these 2 interns so much. Perhaps the chief had heard that the 2 of them were arguing, so he specially came out of the office and said to Tang Yin, Tang Yin, you have to believe in Officer Gao's professionalism. Listen to her arrangements. Shanshan and Chi-Chi leave for now. Since the director has spoken, of course I will do it. However, I would like to ask the director to immediately transfer the case. Since cybercrime is not within our jurisdiction, we should do what we should do. There is no need to hold a meeting. Look at your temper. Officer Gao came all the way here and this is how you treat your guests? Don't throw a tantrum. Tang Yin was not afraid of the director, but Feng Shanshan was. Mu Chi-Chi, let's go. Mu Chi-Chi nodded and left the meeting room, returning to the forensics lab. Two sensible children after all. Seeing that Officer Gao was satisfied, the chief walked up to Tang Yin and said, "Don't be so stubborn. Let's start the meeting and try to solve the case as soon as possible." Tang Yin did not say anything else. He only gestured for Officer Gao to go forward and explain what a cybercrime was. Do you think that woman is targeting you or me? Sitting in the morgue, the two couldn't help but gossip. It should be directed at the two of us. After all, they are experts and we are just interns. Mu Chi-Chi shrugged. However, Captain Tang has always been willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of the case. What happened today? He wants to fight that Officer Gao to the end. How would I know what's wrong with him? Feng Shanshan didn't think much of it. At this time she wouldn't think that Tang Yin was doing it for her. You didn't tell him about Zhongting's situation just now? They don't like us now. What if we tell them about Zhongting and they use it as a pretext? Mu Chi-Chi snorted. Moreover, it's just my guess. There's no real evidence. You're right. The two of them waited in the forensics lab. However, not long after, the professor returned to the lab helplessly. How is it, Professor? Only an information analyst can keep up with what Officer Gao said. How can people like us who don't understand computers understand? I think that kid Tang Yin is going to have a headache, the professor explained. So he went to the director's office again and asked to transfer the case. This really doesn't match that kid's character. In the past, if he encountered such a situation, he would definitely work hard and learn those things that he doesn't know. I don't know why, but this time he's not enthusiastic at all. Is it possible that he's taking revenge on the director? Look, when the first 4 victims committed suicide, the director didn't allow us to investigate. Now that the situation is serious, he asked Captain Tang to solve the case within a time limit. Instead, he's not in a hurry. Mu Chi-Chi thought of this possibility. Who knows what he's thinking? Although Mu Chi-Chi also wanted to solve the case, she wanted to hear that this matter had nothing to do with Zhongting. Therefore, no matter what Tang Yin decided, she would tell Tang Yin her findings in private. The few of them argued in the director's office until their faces were red. In the end, the director asked Tang Yin to calm down for half an hour before going back to tell him the answer. Feng Shanshan and Mu Chi-Chi didn't know what happened in the office. The two of them packed their things. After all, they were interns. Since there was nothing for them to do, of course they had to get off work and go home. However, when she went to the bathroom, Feng Shanshan saw Officer Gao fixing her makeup in the bathroom. Although she was unhappy, she still greeted her respectfully, "Officer Gao?" After combing her hair, she turned around and looked at Feng Shanshan. "You and the other child admire Tang Yin a lot, don't you? Officer Gao, you should have heard that Mu Chi-Chi is Xing Zhao's woman, right?" Feng Shanshan explained. "What about you?" Feng Shanshan didn't answer Officer Gao's question, but she smiled. "I've known Tang Yin since I was in the police academy. After so many years, I've been thinking about him because I feel that men should be like him. Now that I think about it, it's been almost 10 years. Officer Gao, isn't it strange for an intern like me to say this? An intern will become a permanent employee sooner or later, and you've been by his side all this time. It's hard to guarantee that you won't fall in love with him over time. I'm just here to tell you in advance that Tang Yin is the man I like." Feng Shanshan smiled and walked to the sink. She slowly washed her hands and then answered Officer Gao, "What a pity, Officer Gao. You're still too late. You've known Tang Yin for 10 years, but he's sleeping with me at night." Chapter 674. She could imagine the expression on Officer Gao's face behind her. Then she told Tang Yin about it. After Tang Yin read the message, he did not even frown and silently put away his phone. He did not tell the team not because Feng Shanshan could not be seen, but because he felt that it would be inconvenient. However, if this matter was made public, he would not feel that there was any problem. He was a prodigal son who mixed in relationships. How could he not know that Officer Gao had a good impression of him? He insisted on doing official business and did not intend to leave any face for Officer Gao. This was because he did not want to have any connection with Officer Gao other than in official business. Now Feng Shanshan had solved this problem. Officer Gao had to admit that when she left the bathroom, her expression was very ugly, but that was all. She had been paying attention to Tang Yen for many years and knew that Tang Yen had many girlfriends, but none of them lasted long. Even if his current girlfriend was Feng Shanshan, it was only because Feng Shanshan was young and beautiful. She always thought that no matter how many girlfriends Tang Yen had, they were just taking care of her man. Shouldn't a man like Tang Yen need a very powerful woman to be compatible with him? Tang Yen calmed down for half an hour. When he returned to the chief, he was still very stubborn. I say, Tang Yen, are you deliberately challenging me? Do you know how much effort we put in to invite Officer Gao over? I know you're very capable, but your expertise is not in cybercrime. Chief, there are 8 lives now. If Officer Gao still wants to do what she wants and thinks that she has the final say here, then you can transfer the case away. You're really hopeless. The chief had no choice but to turn around and try to persuade Officer Gao. In the end, the other party compromised. Are you satisfied now? I hope that Officer Gao will do as she said and fully cooperate. Even if she doesn't cooperate, I hope that she won't hold us back. After saying this, Tang Yen walked out of the chief's office. The relevant departments of the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology also provided the recent visit records of the deceased on the internet. After cross-screening, one of the high-hit addresses really included the Dark Abyss. Of course, there were a few other web pages. Although the Dark Abyss is very suspicious now, we can't miss the other domain names. Old Ching, get a way to enter the Dark Abyss as soon as possible. The others are responsible for investigating the other domain names. Move fast. Feng Shanshan, Xiaolong and I will go to the crime scene again. As for Mu Qiqi, go home and find your family. Because Feng Shanshan told Tang Yen about Mu Qiqi's discovery in Zhongting, Tang Yen asked Mu Qiqi to follow Mr. Lin's lead. The entire deployment did not include Officer Gao's position, so she asked Tang Yen directly, "What about me? If you need anything, Officer Gao, I'll definitely let you know." After saying that, Tang Yen said to everyone, "Let's go." Officer Gao crossed her arms and snorted coldly. She had never been treated so coldly before. It was the first time she had been treated so coldly by Tang Yen. Although she admired this man, he was too rude to her. But she had no choice. After all, she was the one who had promised to follow Tang Yan's arrangements. When Mu Qiqi walked out of the police station, she saw her man's car. However, before she got into the car, she caught a glimpse of Officer Gao walking out of the police station's main gate. Mu Qiqi got into the car and regained the arrogance that she should have as the daughter of a rich family and the wife of a CEO. This made Officer Gao feel uncomfortable from the bottom of her heart. However, some people were born with better conditions than you. This was determined at birth. Officer Gao got into her car. She did not dare to compare herself with Sheng Zhao's car. She drove at full speed and soon disappeared from Mu Qiqi's sight. Mu Qiqi smiled and found it very interesting. "Xiao Xiao, does this woman not have the fate of a queen, but she has the disease of a queen? A proud woman will see all those of the same sex who are more outstanding than her as opponents and silently compare them." "I know," Mu Qiqi replied. "But I don't think she's competitive at all. Conceit is actually a sign of inferiority. She thinks she has everything, but in fact she lacks everything." Sheng Xiao was not in the mood to care about others. He directly pulled Mu Qiqi onto his legs. "The HR manager asked me to pass something to you, but I won't give it to you for free." Mu Qiqi remembered that she had asked the HR manager to help investigate the video. She quickly hugged Sheng Xiao's neck and acted coquettishly. "You know that I'm curious, but you still torture me like this. Show me first and then I'll agree to whatever you want." This thing had the identity of a rich young lady, but she had lost her childishness in the outside world. She was clearly 20 years old, but she exuded the charm of a mature woman. Just rubbing against his leg was enough to elicit a reaction from him. Sheng Xiao could not bear it anymore, so he whispered to Su Che, "Drive faster." Mu Qiqi heard the change in his voice, so she chuckled. "There's still some distance to go home. The nearest place is your office in Zhongting." "Are you sure?" "Of course I don't care, but when I get home my parents will be there. Besides, can you hold it in until then?" Sheng Xiao really wanted to hug this thing and melt it in his arms. "Su Che, let's go to the company." Su Che did not say anything. He quietly changed direction and drove the car back to the company. When the two returned to the company, they closed the door of the office and released their inner desires for each other on this tall building. Mu Qiqi only felt that this man seemed to have gone crazy, gnawing on her skin and nerves. But the next time she came, she could not look at the sofa here. Sheng Zhao's office clearly had a separate lounge, but he was not interested in the big bed. The two sat on his office chair, still joined together and not separated. Mu Qiqi saw Xing Zhao's shirt was loose and his eyes were dazed. She felt as if she had been electrocuted, and her whole body was numb. Xing Zhao noticed her change and lifted her chin. "You're not full yet?" "No, you promised me. Show me the surveillance." Xing Zhao's posture did not change. He just turned on the computer and played the surveillance for her. At that time, Luo Mingxian did leave with the computer and it was very early. "You must have investigated that man with the surname Lin, right? According to Su Che, this man is normal. He goes to work and takes care of his daughter when he gets home. He used to be addicted to the internet, but in recent years he rarely has the time to indulge in it." Chapter 675. "Are you sure you want to discuss such a serious topic with me in such a position?" Xing Xiao asked as he held her neck. "Xiao. If Captain Tang gets the domain name of the Dark Abyss, can I spend 100,000 yuan to register it?" "Are you crying to me about being poor?" Xing Xiao raised his eyebrows. Compared to the other rich young ladies, Mu Qiqi was practically a thrifty housewife. She was not interested in branded jewelry or clothing. It was rare for her to go shopping. Xing Xiao had asked the designer to make the clothes for the season and send them over directly. In this aspect she was not like a woman at all. "You know that I don't usually spend money. 100,000 yuan is not a small amount. No one's money grows on trees. I also feel sorry for my man." Xing Xiao couldn't do anything about this little thing. He just wanted to press her on the table and dote on her again. In fact, he did just that. After both of them were satisfied, Xing Xiao slowly brought Mu Qiqi back to the banyan courtyard. However, as soon as they reached home, Mu Qiqi lay on the bed and fell asleep. After all, she had been tormented for a few hours and her energy had been drained. Then Xing Xiao made a call in the study. With his connections, it shouldn't be too much of a problem for him to find out about the forum called the Dark Abyss from the young masters he knew. He would see the results tomorrow morning. On the other hand, Tang Yen and the other two went to the scene of two more murders. Because the bodies had been moved away, the entire room seemed much emptier than before. The three of them carefully investigated the scene again and focused on searching the computers of the victims. Tang Yen did not even let go of the ceiling. However, they still found nothing. Perhaps it was because the lights were off and the three of them were holding their flashlights, but just as Feng Shanshan was about to put away her phone and turn on the lights, she accidentally swept the TV wall and found a red dot. "Captain Tang, found something." Tang Yen immediately turned around and found a miniature camera in the circular wall clock on the TV wall. Officer Long immediately took the camera down and looked a little excited. Maybe this camera captured a few people committing suicide. Feng Shanshan looked carefully at the location of the camera. It was obviously in the middle of the living room. In other words, through the camera, she could clearly see the complete scene of them committing suicide. "Check the other locations and bring them back to the station for the technical department to analyze." Feng Shanshan had a hunch that there would be nothing inside. "Let's go to the other scene to take a look. Maybe we can find something else." If there were cameras at both crime scenes, it meant that the murderer had seen the footage of the 8 people's deaths, or rather, he had kept it. This murderer is truly a freak. But how did he manage to make those 8 people willingly die? Who doesn't want to know the answer now? Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes at senior brother Long. No matter what, there's finally a breakthrough. "Tang Yen, didn't my friend say that he had a friend who entered the underworld but was scared out of his wits? I want to find out what he saw and see if he can provide us with any information." "It's too late today. We'll go tomorrow," Tang Yen said to Feng Shanshan. "Go back and rest first." TSK, Captain Tang has learned how to be protective of the fairer sex. Officer Long couldn't help but laugh. However, running around all day is really too tiring. "I'm a big man and I can't take it anymore." After saying that, the two of them went to the other crime scene and found a pinhole camera. Then Tang Yen brought the two of them back to the station. After explaining the matter of the camera, he arranged for them to take turns to rest and brought Feng Shanshan home. "You're just going to exclude that Officer Gao? I think she's very sad. Isn't that what you want?" Tang Yen asked Feng Shanshan directly. Even if it's what I want, don't say it so directly. According to your personality, you should still be thinking about the public. You're not someone who will change the way you work because of my preferences." "Yes, it's not because of you. It's because I hate her too," Tang Yen replied calmly. "Haven't you noticed her good figure?" Feng Shanshan leaned against the passenger seat and looked at Tang Yan's side profile. "Old." Tang Yen summed up Officer Gao with one word, which made Feng Shanshan laugh. "I'll be this old in the future." After Feng Shanshan said this, her smile became even wider because she wanted to know if Tang Yen was really a relationship expert. When you were like her, I was already a middle-aged man. So, in front of me you're still a young girl. After Feng Shanshan heard this, she gave him a thumbs up. Now I believe you, Captain Tang. When you were young, you must have used these flowery words to deceive many women. I had no choice but to be in a thief's lair. In this regard, Feng Shanshan did not do anything. Not only did she not care about Tang Yan's past, she even teased him about his past. This was the confidence she found by Tang Yan's side. At least, she was not someone like Officer Gao who could be compared to him. After the two of them returned home, they quickly took a shower and went to bed. Before they could think about anything else, they hugged each other and fell asleep. The next day, Mu Qiqi sat up from the bed and saw the note Xing Xiao had left on the bedside table. On it was the current domain name of the Abyss. Mu Qiqi quickly brought her computer and successfully entered the registration page. As expected, she needed to pay 100,000 yuan to enter the website. Mu Qiqi gritted her teeth and finally used Xing Xiao's card to register as a member. Then she successfully entered the home page of the Abyss. It was no different from a normal sales website. You could use the 100,000 black coins you registered to buy anything there, including all kinds of calligraphy, paintings, antiques, orchids, gold, jewelry, and so on. The most special thing was that when you bought something, the website would automatically remind you. There was a 50% chance that the thing you bought was genuine. If you bought the real thing, then congratulations, the value of these genuine things could be millions or even tens of millions. But if you bought a fake, then sorry, your 100,000 black coins would be reduced to nothing. This was clearly a huge gamble. Spending 100,000 yuan to bet on a chance to get rich overnight. Mu Qiqi continued browsing and found that someone had really bought the real thing. Moreover, there was a series of professional procedures such as an appraisal certificate. However, other than that, there was nothing special. Then Mu Qiqi immediately called Tang Yen. Captain Tang, I've entered the Abyss. Chapter 676. In order not to alert the enemy, Mu Qiqi spent a lot of money on that lousy website. She spent 100,000 yuan to buy a few lousy antiques, none of which were real. According to the website's prompt, there would be a system prompt the moment you bought it. This was equivalent to a scratch-off lottery ticket. It was full of the nature of gambling. The people from the branch office also wanted to use Mu Qiqi's username to go in and investigate. However, perhaps because they sensed that the IP address had changed, Mu Qiqi's account was prompted with an abnormality and she could no longer log in. This forum is too hooligan. Moreover, nothing in it is legal. But you said that it's illegal and the price is clearly stated. Moreover, they're all prompts. In the end, it's just taking advantage of the gambler's mentality. As someone who had entered before, Mu Qiqi deeply admired the brains of the forum's creator. We also entered the forum, but Qiqi didn't find anything unusual inside. Although the 100,000 yuan membership fee is expensive, there's nothing suspicious about it. Now that the internet is so developed, it's not surprising that there are a few forums like this. At most, we can just report it. After hearing Officer Long's words, Tang Yen turned to look at Mu Qiqi. Could it be that the IP address and bank account you used exposed your identity and aroused their vigilance? Captain Tang, my understanding is that the Abyss is not afraid of our investigation at all, Mu Qiqi replied. I agree with this. If the Abyss is really afraid of an investigation or if it has something to do with the 8 lives this time, they would have closed the entrance long ago. How could they still allow us in? Although they were very unwilling, the truth told everyone that the Abyss website did not seem to have anything to do with the murders. Even if those 8 young men had spent money to join the club, and even if they did not buy the real thing in the end, they would not commit suicide because of this, right? We went to the scene last night and found a pinhole camera at the scene. Unfortunately, the footage stored by the camera was all automatically erased, Feng Shanshan said. But what is certain is that when these 8 people committed suicide, the murderer must have been watching through the camera somewhere. So all the clues are gone now? Everyone fell into deep thought. A moment later, Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi, Today, Captain Tang and I will go look for my friend again and eliminate the suspicion of the Abyss. I'll go with you, Mu Qiqi said. Anyway, the other domain names are still under investigation. Don't be so discouraged. Senior Brother Long comforted everyone. Our special investigations team has been established for so long, and there has never been an unsolved case. I didn't expect you guys to be so good at comforting yourselves. Officer Gao, dressed in a police uniform, walked out of the chief's office. I've said it before. This is my field. If you want to rely on the previous methods to investigate, it won't work. Cybercriminals hide behind computers and monitor everything. He must have seen the video of you going to the crime scene yesterday. Maybe he's laughing in his heart. These idiots are too gullible. Since it's your field, why do you have to put it in the Special Investigations team to investigate? Tang Yen asked Officer Gao. That's because you've been trying to catch this murderer for a long time. I've asked an information analyst to search for past cases. As long as there's a similar shadow, I've dug through all the files. Your cyber police still couldn't find the murderer. It's just that in the past, the murderer wasn't this vicious. Are you guys afraid of taking responsibility and trying to stir up trouble here? Tang Yen, I think I've been patient enough with you. When you say these words, you better know your limits, Officer Gao said angrily. How about this? I'll leave Officer Long and Old Cheng to you. You can use the resources at your disposal. I want to see if you can find the murderer. Who's afraid of who? The two bosses were saying harsh words, and the shrimps below expressed that they were innocent, especially Officer Long. He didn't want to follow this white bone demon either, okay? Captain Tang, you guys take care of Officer Gao. The rest of you follow me out. Tang Yen gestured to Officer Long to calm this woman down and not cause any trouble. Although Old Cheng and Officer Long were extremely unwilling, they didn't dare to disobey Tang Yan's orders. They could only watch as Tang Yen left with the others. It's because we don't usually go online, so we don't know what new things young people like to play these days. The professor sighed helplessly. But forget about me. I'm already a bag of old bones. Why don't the two of you like new things? Feng Shanshan and Mu Qiqi looked at each other and didn't say anything. The two of them seemed to be getting further and further away from their identity as girls. However, just as Tang Yen was about to bring Feng Shanshan and Officer Long to find her friend, the professor pulled him to the side and said, "No one else knows about you and Shanshan, right? Except for Mu Qiqi. But just now, that woman surnamed Gao has already brought this matter to the chief." The professor was a little unhappy. Although this is your private matter and others have no right to interfere, what the chief thinks is another matter. You deal with it yourself. Understood. Tang Yen only said 2 words. He didn't have the time to deal with Gao Qiqi now. However, he would remember this grudge. The three of them traveled together and once again found Feng Shanshan's friend at the high-class club. Shanshan, what do you want to ask this time? We want to know where your friend who was scared out is. Is it convenient for us to talk? Feng Shanshan directly stated her purpose of coming. After hearing this, the other party hesitated for a few seconds. Finally he nodded. I'll help you contact him now. After saying that, Feng Shanshan's friend walked out of the club and made a call. When she came back she told them, this friend of mine doesn't seem to be in a good mental state. He's been seeing a psychiatrist recently and can't take any stimulation, so he refused. When Feng Shanshan heard this, she glanced at Tang Yen and Mu Qiqi and didn't force them. Alright then. Sorry to disturb you today. It's fine. Feng Shanshan felt that the other party didn't tell her everything. But since the other party was unwilling to tell her, she naturally couldn't continue asking. The three of them walked out of the club in silence. They all felt that the forum was still full of strange things that made them feel uncomfortable. Qiqi, where did you get your address? Chapter 677. As if he knew that Mu Qiqi would ask for the domain name again, Xing Xiao hooked his finger at her. When he saw that she was sitting on him, he asked in a low voice, Are you sure it's the problem with this forum? I registered as a member this morning and didn't find anything when I went in. However, I still feel that this forum is full of strangeness. There's an indescribable mystery to it. I have a feeling that I've only seen the tip of the iceberg. Why is the police relying on intuition to investigate cases now? Xing Xiao curled his lips. Or are you saying that the clues are broken now but you insist on biting on this thread? Is there any way to find out more about this forum? What's in it for me to find the information for you? Xing Xiao asked Mu Qiqi seductively. His eyes were full of temptation. Do whatever you want. Mu Qiqi said heroically. That's what you said. After saying that, Xing Xiao dialed the internal line and asked the secretary to enter the office. Go and invite the young master of the Yen family over. Let him come for lunch. Is this young master of the Yen family that ridiculous rich young master? The one who married his father's lover? He's open and likes to hunt for novelty. If there's no news about him, then there's really nothing suspicious about the dark abyss. After saying that, Xing Xiao pointed to the sofa at the side. Go and wait. I'll go to the meeting first. Got it? Before Mu Qiqi got up, she took the initiative to kiss him. Sheng Xiao was so busy, but she still pestered him thoughtlessly. It made her feel very guilty. After this incident, she would definitely not let her man be involved in these murders again. After 40 minutes of waiting, the famous young Master Yen was invited to Zhongting's office. The secretary guided young Master Yen in and saw Mu Qiqi sitting on the sofa with tea already prepared. "Hey, isn't this our little bride? I've heard a lot about you." Mu Qiqi knew that this young Master Yen was a fun person to play with. He was dressed in a wine-red suit and wore exquisite accessories. His hair was dyed flaxen, and he was as flashy as he could be. "Isn't young Master Yan's name just as well known?" The man smiled and cupped his fists. "Thank you for not despising me, President Sheng. We can still be friends." "I'm really sorry. I have something to ask of you today." Mu Qiqi gestured for him to sit down. Young Master Yen leaned against the sofa in confusion. After a few seconds he pointed at Mu Qiqi and said, "Could it be because of the forum?" Mu Qiqi nodded. "Last night, your President Sheng called me in the middle of the night and asked me for it. Did you go in and play? I'm a shallow player. I want to know how deep it is." Mu Qiqi looked at him seriously, hoping that he would tell her the truth. After young Master Yen heard this, he pondered for a few seconds and then asked, "You spent 100,000 yuan?" "Yes." Mu Qiqi nodded. "I also heard that you have to spend millions to watch a good show." Young Master Yen replied, "Although I also like to hunt for novelty, I still feel the pinch if I have to spend 1 million just to buy curiosity. However, I can share a few pictures with you." With that, young Master Yen took out his phone, flipped through a few photos and handed them to Mu Qiqi. After Mu Qiqi finished looking at them, she was stunned. That was because the photos were none other than the 4 dead people from 2 days ago before they committed suicide. "Young Master Yen, do you know that these 4 people are dead?" "Who doesn't know now?" Young Master Yen suddenly became a little gloomy. "But didn't they commit suicide? They can't blame others. Where did these photos come from?" "A few rich friends shared them. I don't know where they came from. They probably spent millions." After listening to young Master Yan's words, Mu Qiqi fell into deep thought. With these photos she could be sure that the forum was definitely related to the 8 dead people. "Little bride, there are too many messy things on the internet. You're a forensic doctor. How can you manage them? Besides, they're all suicides. No one can stop them." Mu Qiqi put away her serious expression and smiled. "You're really easy to talk to. You don't have the airs of a young master." "I don't know anything. The only thing I have left is my tongue that won't rot." Young Master Yen laughed heartily. "I really thought that President Sheng wanted to treat me to a meal. So there's another purpose. I was the one who begged him. Besides, who said that I didn't sincerely invite you?" This young Master Yen looked like a good-for-nothing. However, Mu Qiqi felt that from this man's way of talking, he was just hiding his elegance. In fact, there was a gap in his heart. Otherwise, Mu Qiqi felt that her man would not have become friends with him. "Little bride, you really know how to talk. So, can you send me the photos?" Young Master Yen shrugged. What's wrong with that? In any case, he had never seen the so-called million-yuan VIP account. He only had a few photos sent by others. After Mu Qiqi kept the photos, she sent them to Tang Yen. The forum was definitely worth investigating. Moreover, the waters were very deep. That afternoon, Mu Qiqi had lunch with Sheng Xiao and young Master Yen. The atmosphere was rather relaxed and cheerful. This person was indeed eloquent and could spit out lotus flowers. Then Mu Qiqi went to meet up with Tang Yen and Feng Shanshan. These photos are of Luo Mingxian and the others before they committed suicide. Since someone took such a picture and it was before they died, does that mean that many people were watching them commit suicide? Young Master Yen told me that only people who spend more than 1 million yuan are qualified to see such a big scene. Can we assume that the benefit of those million VIP users is to watch these 4 children commit suicide? Mu Qiqi's deduction sounded a little crazy and unbelievable. But it was very strange, making people feel that it matched the truth. I keep feeling that we're getting closer and closer to the truth. Can't we, the police, find out who's behind the dark abyss? The forum only provides a platform for those internet experts to roam around. Who are you looking for behind the scenes? They're all hiding behind the computer. Who are you looking for to be responsible? Tang Yen answered. Not only that, the people from the technical department replied that the anti-reconnaissance technology of the dark abyss is very mature. It doesn't seem to be domestic technology. So, Captain Tang, are you saying that we really have to spend 1 million yuan to verify whether the so-called VIP users are watching the children commit suicide? Chapter 678. The investigation department is investigating to see if they can decipher it. Even if they decipher it and find out that there's something wrong with the Dark Abyss, how can they convict him? After all, these children committed suicide. No one coerced them, so the cause of their deaths is still the key. Mu Qiqi looked at Feng Shanshan and Tang Yen and sighed. Is the Dark Abyss planning to become our country's dark net? Network security has a long way to go. Feng Shanshan shrugged. Tang Yen was about to sort out the information he had on the case when Feng Shanshan's friend called. Shanshan, that friend of mine committed suicide by taking medicine at noon. After he was scared out by the Dark Abyss, he was in a trance and refused to say anything. He's in the hospital now. Tell me the address. We'll go over now. Feng Shanshan had a feeling that this man who was scared out by the Dark Abyss was definitely a VIP. In other words, it was very likely that he had seen the video of Luo Mingxuan's children committing suicide a few days ago. Therefore, the three of them immediately went to the hospital. When they arrived at the hospital, Feng Shanshan saw her friend sitting on the bench with a flustered expression. Xiaoyu. Shanshan, you're here. The man pointed at the ward behind him and said, he's inside. He was scared to death at noon. Fortunately, he was discovered early and had his stomach pumped. Now he's in a daze. Most sleeping pills can't kill people now. Don't worry. Feng Shanshan comforted him and then looked at Mu Qiqi. Captain Tang, Mu Qiqi and I will go in first. Because girls were relatively less aggressive, the other party would not be so wary of them. Go. I'll be outside. Call me at any time. Tang Yen nodded. He was also prepared to communicate with this man called Xiaoyu. Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan gently pushed open the door and saw the boy sitting on the bed with his arms around his knees. His face was pale. When he saw the two of them, he was immediately frightened. Who are you? I don't want to see you. Who are you? Get out, get out. We don't have any ill intentions. Get out, or I'll die in front of you. The two of them had no choice but to leave and close the door. He's too emotional. Mu Qiqi looked at Tang Yen and shook her head. I heard it. Let me try. Then Tang Yen pushed the door open and walked in. Feng Shanshan could not help but laugh. We're two women and we ran into trouble as soon as we went in. I really don't believe that a man like him can subdue the other party. However, after Tang Yen had been in the room for more than 5 minutes, there was no sound of shouting. Feng Shanshan and Mu Qiqi were amazed. I think this person's sense of security is on the verge of being destroyed, so when we go in he will be very repulsed. But when Captain Tang goes in, he will be quiet because Captain Tang himself gives people a sense of security. You're right. Feng Shanshan nodded. I really want to know what they said inside. In the ward, Tang Yen was sitting next to the man's bed, but both of them were silent. After a long time, Tang Yen said, I used to be an undercover drug dealer. I was forced to do a lot of things such as hitting women and kidnapping children. If I hadn't been obedient at that time, I might have been stabbed by the other party. Then, you escaped? This topic indeed attracted the other party's attention. Yes, not only did I escape, but I also destroyed the drug den, Tang Yen said. Men are not as weak as you think. When they are strong, they can do a lot of things that you can't imagine. So, you don't have to be afraid. The man seemed to have been seen through. Only then did he let down his guard and ask Tang Yen, how do you know I'm afraid? There was a period of time when I was undercover. I was also paranoid all day long. I felt that someone was trying to harm me because I saw a lot of dirty things. I almost broke down because I couldn't take it anymore, just like you are now. The man pursed his lips timidly. Obviously, Tang Yen had guessed what was on his mind. Then are you still afraid now? I'm now the national champion of mixed martial arts and kickboxing. I'm still a criminal police officer. I specialize in catching criminals. I want to stop the things I'm afraid of from happening to others like you. After hearing Tang Yan's words, the man was finally not so afraid anymore. Only then did he dare to take the initiative to say something. Officer, can I become as strong as you? As long as you want to, you can. Then, can you help me? I can introduce you to all my coaches and make you stronger, Tang Yan promised. The reason why you're afraid now is because you feel small and fragile. It's as if you'll break at the slightest touch. Then you have to become stronger. The man seemed to be encouraged and his fighting spirit was ignited. You're right. I should be braver. Although I feel disgusted when I think of those scenes, I must become stronger. You can tell me what disgusting things you saw. Only by smashing these disgusting things can you be completely cured. Looking straight at them is the only thing you have to do now. After hearing Tang Yan's words, the child fell silent again. However, after a moment he crossed his arms and said, I saw two people killing each other on the forum of the Dark Abyss. I was scared out of my wits. I quickly left. Later, I heard that the 4 people really committed suicide. I was very scared because I felt like an executioner. As expected, Muchichi was right. The so-called benefits of having a million VIP users were that they could watch the livestream killing. As for this child, it was obvious that he had been dragged into it by his curiosity. However, he was kind by nature, so he would be traumatized. Can you carefully recall how you entered and how you saw the livestream? At first, I heard about the Dark Abyss because I heard that I might be able to buy calligraphy and paintings that my father likes. So, I went in a few times and bought a lot of fakes, but I also bought real ones. After a while, I spent a lot of money inside. That day, I was looking for antiques inside and wanted to try my luck. However, the system suddenly reminded me that there was a livestream benefit and gave me a livestream address. I thought it was that kind of thing, like beautiful ladies or something, so I clicked in. After all, it would be a waste not to watch it. But when I went in, I understood. Chapter 679. The video was very short. It was only a few minutes. I was so scared that I backed out, and then you were hesitating about whether you should call the police. Tang Yin said what was on his mind. But why didn't you have the courage? Because after I upgraded to 1 million members, I signed a confidentiality agreement with the Dark Abyss. But I thought that the Dark Abyss was just afraid of being investigated. I didn't expect there to be such a service. If I leak the secret, not only will I have to pay 100 million in compensation, but I will also be tracked and threatened by the Dark Abyss. So, I'm very conflicted. I'm really afraid. Are there many people watching the live broadcast? Tang Yin diverted the other party's attention to ensure that he wouldn't fall into fear again. I don't know. There's no indication. Officer, does this count as me not reporting what I know? Did I break the law? Don't be nervous. Tang Yin comforted him. We will definitely break through what you're afraid of, and you've done a great service by providing us with clues. The other party heaved a sigh of relief. I feel much better now that I've said it. I also believe that the officer will protect me. The 2 of them chatted in the ward for a full hour. When Tang Yin walked out of the ward, Feng Shanshan and Muchichi were almost asleep. How is it? I've sent someone to protect him. After all, he's our witness. After saying that, Tang Yin handed the phone to the 2 of them. Go listen. This person was recording. Feng Shanshan knew that people who had dealt with drug dealers must be hiding a lot of thoughts and skills. To ensure that no one was around, the 2 of them went to the car to listen to the recording. It took them about an hour to finish listening to the conversation. After listening, the 2 of them had complicated expressions. You guessed right. Feng Shanshan said to Muchichi. Now it's confirmed that the Dark Abyss is providing illegal services and live-streaming murders. No, the forum is illegal. But why did the children commit suicide? Why did they listen to others so obediently? I can't understand. Who can understand? This answer is the same as finding the person behind the Dark Abyss. It's not an easy task. A moment later, Tang Yin settled the people in the ward and returned to the 2 of them. What do you think? I think the problem still goes back to the victims. The computer is the key. I think Luo Mingxuan's computer might have a chance of being found. I asked Zhongting's manager to check the surveillance footage for me and found that when Luo Mingxian left, he was indeed carrying his laptop. He said that it was broken. Is it possible that he really sent it for repair? Because now, even if we know the problem with the Dark Abyss, we still don't know why these children committed suicide. We can't let go of any clues. With that, Tang Yin called the people in the bureau and asked Old Qing to immediately screen all the computer repair points on this route, from Zhongting's employee dormitory to the rental house where the children died. Their only hope now was to find the child's computer. There's no time to lose. Let's take action now. Hopefully we'll be able to gain something. Feng Shanshan was now full of energy because as long as she thought that there was someone in this world who could be so evil, she was so angry that she was about to cry. It was the same for Muchichi. The 2 of them suddenly understood why Tang Yin was so gloomy. It was because he had seen more and more demons. It was evening in the CEO's office of Zhongting. Although he had previously ruled out Mr. Lin as a suspect, Xing Xiao still had doubts about this person. Even if it wasn't to help the little thing solve the case, he had to ensure that there were no terrifying demons hiding in his territory. Su Che was assigned to follow them for a week, no matter how big or small. After all, Xing Xiao also knew what the little thing was inquiring about. His brain was obviously more capable than Muchichi of thinking about what kind of benefits the million VIP members of the Dark Abyss could enjoy. Therefore, he didn't want the little thing to come into contact with dirty things like the dark abyss endlessly. This Lin sends his daughter to school at 7:30 a.m. every day, arrives at Zhongting for work at 8 a.m., gets off work at 12 a.m. for lunch, takes an hour's lunch break at work, gets off work at 5 p.m., brings his daughter home at 6 p.m., and at 9 p.m. the lights at home are turned off on time. It's like this every day. What does he do during his lunch break? What does he do between 6 and 9 o'clock in the evening? I want to know. Sheng Xiao raised his eyelids and looked at Su Che seriously. You should have heard about the dark abyss. You should know that these are 8 lives. If someone is really hiding in Zhongting and causing trouble, what will happen to Zhongting? So, keep your spirits up and think of a way to find out if this man is suspicious or not. Understood. Su Che nodded. Why did Sheng Xiao have such deep suspicions about this man? It was because he was so regular that he didn't eat the smoke of the mortal world. Normal men, friends, and social interactions, which of them didn't take time and energy to maintain? He was so punctual that it felt like he was acting for them. Even someone like him couldn't go home on time every day. However, this Lin guy could. This person was either free at a fixed time or he was acting for them. At this moment, Mu Qiqi and the others were still sweating profusely as they searched for Luo Mingxuan's computer. From Zhongting's staff dormitory to the crime scene, several teams of people searched one by one, asking questions one by one, and went through all the repair points. Finally, in an old repair point, they asked about Luo Mingxuan's computer. This child came and asked. At that time he took the computer and asked if our technology could repair it, but our people were helpless, said the owner of the repair shop. Can you remember any more details? I remember that child because when that child appeared he looked very flustered and he was running over. When he took out the computer his hands were shaking. At that time, our staff saw that the computer was poisoned and could only reinstall the system. He said that it was too late and then he ran away with the computer. Is there anything else special? Mu Qiqi tried to remind him. Boss, please think about it carefully. I still remember his computer screen. It was a dark red screen that kept flashing. It was quite strange. Later, our technology told me that it might have been controlled remotely. After hearing the boss's words, Mu Qiqi and the others knew that the computer would not be found. However, they also had a new point of suspicion. Could Luo Mingxuan state at that time and the state of the computer be under surveillance and coercion as Feng Shanshan's friend's friend had said? Chapter 680. Captain Tang, who was usually the most hardworking, had been reminding everyone to rest for the past few days. This surprised the people in the bureau, and they looked at him with curiosity. Tang Yen glanced around and snorted. Or do you want to stay and continue investigating the mastermind behind the dark abyss? When everyone heard this, they immediately scattered. When only Feng Shanshan and Captain Tang were left, he said to Feng Shanshan, "You go home first. I'll go to the chief's office to give a briefing." "I'll wait for you in the car," Feng Shanshan said. Mu Qiqi could not stand the sudden mushy atmosphere between the two of them, so she immediately called her man. Of course, she wanted to see Sheng Xiao the most at this moment because her man always gave her a lot of ideas. The deeper the case went, the more they saw, but at the same time the more doubts they had. Soon, Co Sheng's car accurately located Mu Qiqi's location and picked her up. Feng Shanshan sat in Tang Yan's off-road vehicle and waited quietly. She did not expect to see Officer Gao at this time. Or rather, Officer Gao knew that Tang Yan was in the chief's office, so she deliberately looked for Feng Shanshan. Guess what Tang Yan and the chief said in the office? Feng Shanshan sat in the front passenger seat and looked at Officer Gao with interest. She wanted to know what she was going to do next. Officer Gao leaned against the door of the off-road vehicle and smiled. She then told Feng Shanshan, "I told the chief about your relationship." After Feng Shanshan heard this, her eyes naturally darkened. "Do you think you will affect Tang Yan's career?" Feng Shanshan only felt a surge of anger in her chest. It was about to break through her body and make her lose control. However, when she thought about it, she was Tang Yan's girlfriend. No matter how much Officer Gao jumped up and down, she had no chance of getting Tang Yan. Therefore, she burst out laughing instead. "Officer Gao, you might not know my man, right? He's a rebellious person. The more others don't let him do something, the more he wants to do it. Not to mention that we're in a sweet relationship now. Even if we break up one day, you still won't have a chance. Do you know why?" Feng Shanshan stuck her head out of the window and looked at Officer Gao. "Because he doesn't like your style. He doesn't like old ones." Officer Gao seemed to be provoked. She stomped her feet, glared at Feng Shanshan and left the SUV. Although Feng Shanshan had the upper hand verbally, she was still worried about Tang Yen. He didn't know what this person would say to the director. In the director's office, the director was indeed talking to Tang Yen about his personal affairs. I heard that you are in a relationship with an intern assistant in the forensics department. Is that true? Tang Yen was reading the file. After hearing this, he paused for a second and asked the director, "Can't I?" "Of course. But Tang Yen, I hope that you can consider others. After all, you are my right-hand man now. Of course, I hope that you will have a bright future. Don't tell me that you want to be in the front line of criminal investigation when you're already decades old." "There's nothing wrong with that," Tang Yen said bluntly. "I just hope that you will consider it. In the future, she will also be very outstanding and won't disappoint you. But if you say things that look down on others for the sake of an outsider, I think you might lose more than you gain." The director was stunned for a moment. He pointed at Tang Yen and said helplessly, "All right, I won't care about this matter anymore. I also believe that you are a person who distinguishes between public and private affairs, but you should try to keep this matter a secret. After all, someone is about to come out of the thief's lair that you destroyed. This is also out of consideration for your safety." "Thank you, Director, I understand." After the two of them finished talking, Tang Yen walked out of the director's office. At that moment he met Officer Gao at the door. Officer Gao thought that Tang Yen was not good with words. At least, he looked a little dull when it came to relationships. However, Tang Yen said to her directly, "If Officer Gao's purpose in coming to the Jianchuan branch office is not to help us solve the case, then I can call the director of the cyber police and suggest that he transfer her back. Because I feel that Officer Gao seems to be quite free, yet she still cares about other people's private affairs." You're not qualified to be a police officer." After saying this, Tang Yen turned around and went downstairs. He quickly returned to the car. Feng Shanshan saw that his expression was calm, so she did not ask further. When they were halfway there, she said, "So, you and the director both admitted it?" "The director is only my boss. He can't interfere with my private affairs." "You won't fall out with the director because of me, will you?" "Read less romance novels," Tang Yen said coldly. "Do you think everyone in the world is an evil mother-in-law in novels? Even so, it depends on my will." Feng Shanshan patted her chest. She also felt that she was thinking too much. "I'm afraid that you'll give up on me, although my rationality tells me that it's impossible." At this moment, Tang Yen actually thought about the director's words in his mind. It was because the director had reminded him that those people were coming out. He was worried about Feng Shanshan's safety. "If one day I really disappear in front of you without saying a word, then I must be doing something very important. You just have to wait patiently, because even if I have to crawl, I will crawl back to your side." When Feng Shanshan heard this, she looked at Tang Yen in surprise. This person was serious. She knew that. So she was relieved. "Although I don't know where my courage came from, I can understand you. As Tang Yen, you are willing to risk your life to solve the case. I won't pester you. On the contrary, I'm very infatuated with your temper. So, you just need to remember that I'm your woman." Tang Yen listened silently. Although he did not say anything, his heart was greatly touched. This woman was really worthy of a man giving his soul to her. So, the first thing he did when he returned home was to press this woman in the bathroom and kiss her from head to toe. Late at night, Banyan Courtyard. After taking a shower, Mu Chichi sat in front of the computer in a daze. She just couldn't figure out how the people behind the dark abyss had controlled those young people and made them willing to give up their lives for them. Xing Xiao came out of the bathroom in his pajamas. Seeing that Mu Chichi was still in a daze, he went forward and grabbed her collar. "You promised to let me do whatever I want. Shouldn't you fulfill your promise now?" Mu Chichi turned around and quickly hugged Xing Xiao. "Xiao Xiao, stop fooling around. Wait for me to figure this out. Is the investigation more important, or am I more important?" Chapter 681. Xing Xiao looked down at her from above. It seemed that she would not give up until he cleared her Ren and Du meridians today. Therefore, he took the opportunity to sit down on the sofa and then scooped her onto his lap. "Tell me, what can't you figure out?" Mu Chichi wrapped her arms around Xing Xiao's neck and told him what they had discovered today, including the fact that they had discovered that the Dark Abyss was live-streaming people. The one thing that was stuck in her mind was why those teenagers were willing to die. "You spent 100,000 to become a member of the Dark Abyss. What did you find after you entered?" "I can gamble and become rich overnight," Mu Chichi answered Xing Xiao's question. "You said it before that those 8 children don't come from good families. If they hear that they can become rich overnight in the dark abyss, what will they do? Go to the dark abyss. But they don't have the money to join the club. Xing Xiao reminded her. You spent 100,000 to gamble it all. At worst you'll lose it. But what about them? Mu Qiqi fell into deep thought. If they really heard about the dark abyss and wanted to gamble on this opportunity, they would definitely think of a way to raise money. But before that, the people in the bureau had also conducted a financial investigation on these children and found nothing unusual. After Xing Xiao heard this, he pinched her nose. It seems that I really have to bring you to the casino in the future. If a gambler has nothing, does that mean he can't gamble anymore? No, he can pawn his clothes, hands, feet, kidneys, eyes, and even his life. He will give whatever the other party wants. Mu Qiqi came to a sudden realization. I understand now. You understand just like that? Then do you know what to do? Xing Xiao looked at the little one meaningfully. Previously, when I registered for the dark abyss, I spent money directly. So, when I go in, I spend money. And the more I spend, the more benefits I get. Even when I reach 1 million, I can receive a live broadcast address from the system. But what if I don't have money but want to spend money in the dark abyss? Xing Xiao smiled when he heard this. His reminder was not in vain. This little one understood with a hint. Excited, aren't you? Mu Qiqi hugged Xing Xiao's neck and nodded. Yes. I really want to experiment. Experiment? Xing Xiao picked her up. Do you still care about me? Mu Qiqi exclaimed and quickly wrapped her arms around Xing Xiao's neck. Of course you're the boss. Xing Xiao placed her on the bed and pressed her down. She had almost forgotten who her husband was because he had not fixed this little thing recently. Mu Qiqi lay on the bed and looked at Xing Xiao. Soon she had forgotten about the dark abyss. Because investigating the case was important, appeasing the jealous man was equally important. Moreover, her admiration for him came from the inside out. His mind was always clear and he could quickly grasp things that normal people could not imagine. Even if it was an area he was not familiar with, he could still help her. This man seemed to be born to be a god. Therefore, in the midst of passion, Mu Qiqi did not hide her infatuation with this man. Ever since she had a crush on him, her feelings for him had never waned. Instead, they grew deeper and deeper. However, sometimes she felt guilty because she didn't seem to have done anything for him in this family. After the joy, there was only silence in the room. Mu Qiqi couldn't help sighing in his arms. Isn't it enough? No, it's just that I don't think I'm good enough to be your wife. Mu Qiqi buried her face in Xing Xiao's chest. I've always taken from you, but I've never done anything for you. Xing Xiao gently stroked Mu Qiqi's hair and lowered his head to kiss the top of her head. I don't want anything. I just want your company. Yes, I'll be with you. I won't leave you even if I die. Although he often heard this from the little one's mouth, every time he heard it, his eyes would widen and his chest would surge. The next day in the branch office, everyone had another meeting. At this time, Mu Qiqi told everyone what she had analyzed with Xing Xiao last night. Of course, Tang Yin wasn't the captain for nothing. In the early hours of the morning, he had contacted Feng Shanshan's friend and obtained the latest entrance to the dark abyss. This time all of them were testing it in the internet cafe. They planned to enter the dark abyss on credit. Soon old Qing arrived at the payment page. Other than the fixed bank card payment, there was also an eye-catching option, IOU payment. Old Qing glanced at Tang Yin and entered the IOU payment page. After clicking on it, the system automatically reminded him that he only needed to fill in his real name and detailed information for the first loan. Then old Qing received a loan of 100,000 yuan. Then he spent it on the dark abyss page and quickly gambled away all the loans. In the end, the system continued to prompt him to continue the loan. Captain Tang, if anything happens, you have to protect me. Continue with the process. Old Qing snorted and continued to enter the loan page. This time, the requirement for the loan was to pay a few points of interest, which was not too much. Old Qing gambled away 100,000 yuan once again. I understand. The dark abyss treats players with money and those without. It's a completely different system. Those who have money to pay and go in to spend won't be in arrears. The page is normal, but those who borrow money to go in are all kinds of traps. Mu Qiqi watched from the side and sighed deeply at the terrifying imagination of the founder of the dark abyss. Old Cheng's loan had reached 900,000 yuan. I feel that we're getting closer and closer to the truth of those children's suicide. Feng Shanshan suddenly had a premonition. This forum is really crazy. Old Cheng's loan of 900,000 yuan was only the principal. Adding on the interest, it was already a sky-high price. If he continued to borrow money, it was impossible to predict how much debt old Qing would have to bear. The few of them thought that this was the discussion of the dark abyss. However, they did not expect that after old Qing borrowed 3 million yuan, a page suddenly popped up. Debt repayment. Old Qing glanced at Tang Yen as if waiting for Tang Yen to give the order. Tang Yen nodded and old Qing chose the debt repayment button. Then he entered a mission page. There were dozens of options such as house mortgage, car mortgage, and so on. There was also the last button, body repayment. This was what Xing Xiao had mentioned. The so-called selling a kidney or removing a cornea. However, just as old Qing was about to choose the last option, the computer suddenly turned black. When he logged in again, the entrance had already changed. What a pity. I'm still missing the last bit. Perhaps the other party has already detected it. This is a test, Tang Yen said to everyone. This also fully shows how powerful the person behind the dark abyss is. Chapter 682. Tang Yen immediately reported this matter and asked the cyber police to send another capable assistant to help solve the case. This was tantamount to slapping Officer Gao in the face because Tang Yen had never used this so-called capable person even once. What he needed was someone who could really do practical things. Leave the matter of deciphering the dark abyss to the cyber police. What we need to do now is to try our best to track down where the computers of the 8 deceased are hidden. Since we've seen Luo Mingxian at the previous computer repair shop, we've checked the surrounding surveillance cameras. The traffic control department is analyzing it and will give us an answer later. Tang Yen finished a series of arrangements and entered the chief's office to report. After the chief heard the whole case, he was especially shocked. To be honest, my children also love to surf the internet, but I didn't expect these vulnerable groups to be the targets of cyber criminals. It turns out that the danger is so close to these children. Tang Yen, you must find the reason why the children committed suicide as soon as possible. I know, Chief. Perhaps they did not expect Tang Yen and the others to investigate to this extent. The dark abyss had already urgently shut down the system and sealed it. And now, Tang Yen did not hope that the mastermind behind the dark abyss would be afraid because of this. He was only avoiding the news because he did not think that Tang Yen could catch him. Even if he caught him, those children had committed suicide. He did not need to pay the price for the choices of these children. However, the mastermind was wrong. Tang Yen knew that he did not understand the internet, so he had already entrusted this area to the cyber police to investigate. And what he needed to do now was to find the most crucial physical evidence, the computer. Soon, the traffic control department obtained Luo Mingxuan's tracks from all the nearby intersections. From the surveillance cameras, it was not difficult to see that after he came out of the computer repair shop, he hugged the computer and hurried to the next shop. In fact, Tang Yen and the others had been to that shop before. However, the employee in charge of Luo Mingxian at that time happened to be on vacation, so he missed Tang Yen and the others' inquiries. A few minutes later, Luo Mingxian came out again. However, after taking a few steps, the phone in his pocket rang. After he looked at the caller ID, he immediately knelt on the ground and picked it up. A minute later, he hung up the phone, hugged the computer again, and disappeared from the surveillance range. After that, the child must have walked into the blind spot of the surveillance camera, so there was no surveillance record. Not long after, he committed suicide, the person from the traffic control department explained to Tang Yen. Mu Qiqi followed behind Tang Yen and carefully observed the entire process of Luo Mingxian entering and leaving the two shops. He looked flustered and looked around from time to time. It was obvious that he was afraid that someone was following him. When he went to ask the boss of the computer repair shop, he also said that Luo Mingxian was in a hurry that day, and the screen of the computer was dark red and flashing non-stop. Captain Tang, it's obvious that Luo Mingxian received a death warning that day. That's why he was so flustered and scared. Moreover, if it were a normal person, under normal circumstances, they would hide and flee to the ends of the earth. But his reaction was to repair his computer. That computer is a death sentence. Feng Shanshan took a deep breath. Right now we can only simulate the route. From the second repair shop to the crime scene, there are 4 ways to reach it. Now we'll split into 4 groups and look for clues separately. There's no need. Mu Qiqi had been staring at the screen. After listening to Tang Yan's arrangements, she suddenly pointed at the screen and asked everyone, "Look at the computer in Luo Mingxuan's hand." When he came out of the first shop, it had a silver-gray shell, but when he came out of the second shop, it turned silver-white. Everyone took a closer look and indeed they noticed this detail. "Let's go," Tang Yen immediately led everyone to the second computer repair shop. After watching the surveillance footage, the boss of the repair shop immediately called the employee on duty that day. Then the boss brought Tang Yen and the others into their warehouse. My employee said that when Luo Mingxian looked for him that day, he was recycling a broken laptop. After Luo Mingxian left, he put the broken laptop in the warehouse and prepared to go back to the factory for repair. The boss explained as he looked at the serial number on the shelf. In the end, he found the computer. Tang Yen and the others looked. Silver gray. Found it. The two laptops are similar in color and size. Maybe Luo Mingxian was too impatient, and men are naturally insensitive to color, so it's possible that he took the wrong one, Mu Chichi analyzed. No matter what, this is all our hope. The boss handed the computer over. Tang Yen and the others finally got the physical evidence. However, because the computer was turned off, they brought it back to the branch office and planned to let the forensics team analyze it. With hope, everyone sat in the branch office and waited for the results. The forensics team turned on the computer and called Tang Yen. Captain Tang. Tang Yen immediately walked over and saw huge blood-red words appear on the computer screen. Warning. Your uncle has been locked down by us. Your debt will be paid by your uncle. Warning. Your uncle's daughter has been locked down by us. Soon she will be implicated by you and die a violent death. Warning. Looking at these shocking things, Tang Yen directly told the forensics team, immediately crack Luo Mingxian's computer. I want to know the whole process from the moment Luo Mingxian entered the dark abyss to the moment he endured the threat. Perhaps Luo Mingxian chose to die under such coercion, Feng Shanshan said, feeling a little sorry for him. Seize a person's weakness and break through their heart. No wonder old Cheng asked him to fill in detailed information when he first went in to get the loan, and even asked for his family and friends. It's too scary. Senior brother Long couldn't help but sigh. If these things pop up on my computer at any time, even my hair will stand on end. This is too terrifying. Most importantly, I'm afraid of implicating my family. Luo Mingxian was brought up by his uncle. No wonder he was so flustered. Every time there was a murder, everyone would do their best to investigate the truth behind it. However, when they were really close to the truth, they would find it hard to accept. Captain Tang, we found a special remote control software on Luo Mingxian's computer. This should be a sub-software belonging to the Dark Abyss. It's different from ordinary remote control software. Using this remote control software, almost everything on Luo Mingxian's computer has been cleared, so it might be difficult for us to find anything valuable. The forensics team said. In other words, this computer is useless? Let's try to find the IP of the computer remotely. Chapter 683. Therefore, the clues were once again stuck here. As for the cyber police, they were using high-powered criminal investigation methods to locate the main server of the Abyss. If they could shut down this forum as soon as possible, it would undoubtedly be a joyous occasion. However, how could they find the person behind the scenes? Cybercrime was different from other crimes. The methods were special and easy to hide. Perhaps the murderer was the person beside them. I really don't know what kind of suffering these 8 children endured when they were alive. It's true that they wanted to change their fate, but they chose the wrong path. The group of people did not know how to use the internet, so they could only sit in the branch office and wait for the results. I still want to do something for these 8 children, but I don't know where to start. Mu Chichi leaned on the table and sighed. All right, you've done your best. Feng Shanshan had to admit that Mu Chichi seemed to have an extra eye than her. She could always see a lot of things that she could not. Mu Chichi had to admit that it was because of Xing Zhao's influence. Xing Zhao was a meticulous person, and although he did not show it on the surface, he was in fact able to see through people's hearts. Mu Chichi had indeed learned those qualities from Xing Zhao, and only then could she truly be said to have been taught by Xing Zhao himself. At this point, Mu Chichi suddenly thought of something. Captain Tang, I think we need to interrogate someone. Tang Yen leaned against the edge of the table, looking very deep. When he heard Mu Chichi's words, he turned to look at her. Go ahead. When senior brother Long and I went to Zhongting to visit, we talked to Luo Mingxian's boss, a man with the surname Lin. You know that I suspected him. He told us that he and Luo Mingxian went to work together and got off work at the same time and had a good relationship. If Luo Mingxian was really abnormal, how could he not notice it? You also noticed that when Luo Mingxian was threatened, he was very panicked. As his boss, how could Mr. Lin not notice it? I still feel that this Mr. Lin is hiding something. After Tang Yen heard this, he nodded. I understand what you're saying. Xiaolong, go and summon this man. I'll go and ask the chief. Don't you need to wait for the approval first? You go first. I'll call you on the way, Tang Yen said. Officer Long nodded and promised Tang Yen, I'll definitely handle this matter well. Wait, I'll go with you. I'll call Xiao Xiao first and ask him to make the arrangements. That's good too. Tang Yen nodded and acquiesced to their actions. Then Mu Qiqi and Officer Long walked out of the police station. After getting into the car, Mu Qiqi called Xing Xiao. However, Xing Xiao's reply made her frown. He's in the hospital. He injured his hand due to improper mechanical operation. What a coincidence. That was all Mu Qiqi could think of. Besides, Xiao Xiao, are you investigating him? Otherwise, with Xing Xiao's personality, he wouldn't understand a man who wasn't even worth a second glance. So far, I haven't found anything suspicious. However, the police will still summon those who should be summoned and interrogate those who should be interrogated. Which hospital is he in? Dikang. Mu Qiqi received the news and gave a simple report to Tang Yen. After Tang Yen heard that, he also wanted to meet this so-called Mr. Lin personally. Shanshan and I will come over right away. In Zhongting's office, after Xing Xiao hung up the phone, he fell into deep thought. Then he dialed the internal line and called Su Che in. Take advantage of this time to do something. President, please give me your orders. Hold Lin Yuquan's wife back and pick up Lin Yuquan's daughter. The adults don't speak the truth but the child does. If there's no way to avoid Lin Yuquan's wife, bring both mother and daughter here. I understand. I'll definitely ensure the child's safety. Soon, Tang Yen and the others arrived at Dikang Hospital. Lin Yuquan was lying on the hospital bed with a pale face because he had injured his hand. He didn't seem to expect the police to come looking for him again, but his attitude was still very cooperative. Officers, are you here for Mingxuan's matter again? Lin Yuquan pointed at his right hand and said, It's a pity that I injured my hand and can't sit up. Please forgive me. It's fine. Captain Tang from our branch's major crimes unit wants to have a chat with you. You don't need to spend much energy. Just lie down, Mu Qiqi said to Lin Yuquan. That child Luo Mingxian should really want to get rich, right? It's indeed not easy for this child. He wants to leave his original family and repay his uncle, so he works very hard. He always eats the simplest instant noodles and wears the cheapest clothes. Even his underwear is a small size that I bought for him, Lin Yuquan recalled. Although it's only been 3 months, I feel that he's like my younger brother. Didn't he show any abnormalities before the incident? I really don't know about that. I go home on time every day and pick up my daughter on time, so I really didn't pay attention to his psychological condition. If I knew that he would commit suicide, I would definitely try my best to stop him, Lin Yuquan answered Tang Yen regretfully. He's really a good child. It's been so long. Haven't you seen him playing something on the computer even once? I really don't know, officer. I'm someone who rarely touches the internet, so I don't really understand. Lies. At that moment, only these 2 words appeared in Mu Qiqi's heart. Lin Yuquan's right hand was injured. Judging from the injury, it should be his palm. What? Wasn't it to cover up his mouse hand? You've been doing technical work for some years, haven't you? It's just to make a living. After all, I have to support my family. At this point, Lin Yuquan smiled at everyone. Speaking of which, it's time for my wife to pick up my daughter. My daughter is in cram school. I'll make a call. Go ahead. Lin Yuquan picked up the phone with his left hand and dialed his wife's number. In front of a group of police officers, he did not hide anything. Have you picked up Xinxin and brought her home? She'll be there soon. She worked overtime at the company. Hurry up and go. Don't let Xinxin wait. Lin Yuquan's expression was a little flustered and impatient because he did not pick up his daughter. This was something that everyone in the police force could see. He never would have thought that Lin Yuquan's daughter and wife had already been picked up by Su Che. This was very easy. As long as Xing Xiao said that he would discuss the compensation with his family, his wife would go to Zhongting to meet Xing Xiao no matter what. After all, Xing Xiao's reputation was there. Lin Yuquan's wife also believed in Zhongting. Chapter 684. After Lin Yuquan's wife arrived at Zhongting, she first talked to the HR department of Zhongting and expressed her demands. Then it was Xing Xiao's secretary who took care of her and conveyed her love to the child. Although Xing Xiao was very reluctant to use such formulaic methods on a mother and daughter, such a well-intentioned lie seemed very important in the face of 8 lives. In the end, Xing Xiao had his secretary invite the mother and daughter to the CEO's office. and deliberately put a computer on the coffee table. Lin Yuquan's wife was very nervous when she saw Xing Xiao. She had never thought that a small fry like her would meet a big shot one day. Moreover, he was such a young and promising big shot. Xing Xiao got up from his chair, strolled to the sofa and sat down. "Madam Lin, don't be nervous. I just want to know if Mr. Lin can continue working in his current condition." Xing Xiao did not plan to mention Luo Mingxian because it would arouse the woman's suspicion. Everything he was doing now was to relax Lin Yuquan's wife's wariness. Yu Kuan's injuries are quite serious right now. I don't know if he can continue working, Lin Yuquan's wife said. However, seeing that Xing Xiao's expression had darkened, she quickly explained, "Xiao Xing, I didn't mean that. Zhongting has already treated our small family very well. I just feel that the pillar of the family has collapsed and I'm a little sad. The company is a place that pays attention to the system, but it also has its own warmth. If you have any needs, you can tell me. The company has done enough for us. We're really satisfied." Just as Lin Yuquan's wife was answering the question, Lin Yuquan's daughter walked over to the computer and started playing. When Lin Yuquan's wife saw this, she immediately stopped him. "Didn't I teach you not to touch other people's things? Then I'll go home and play on Daddy's computer," Lin Yuquan's daughter pouted. "Chief Sheng, please excuse me. The child is not sensible. Your daughter is very cute, but it doesn't seem good for her to come into contact with the internet at such a young age. His father is at home and has to sleep for a while from time to time, so the child was infected," Lin Yuquan's wife explained. "Of course not. Daddy played all night. I saw him go to the bathroom a few times." "You're lying." When Lin Yuquan's wife heard this, she immediately covered her daughter's mouth. "Child, what nonsense are you talking about? You're wrong. Mrs. Lin, you don't have to be so nervous. I'm not a policeman investigating a case." Hearing the word, police, Lin Yuquan's wife's heart immediately broke down. Perhaps she was afraid that her daughter would say more things about Lin Yuquan that no one knew about, so she stood up with a flustered expression while carrying the child. "Xiao Sheng, I think that since the matter has been settled, I won't continue to disturb you. Thank you for everything Zhongting has done for us. Are you taking your daughter to the hospital now? I'll send someone to escort you." Xing Zhao's expression was still calm, as if what was happening outside had nothing to do with him. He was a professional person in charge of a military enterprise. Lin Yuquan did not dare to look Xing Xiao in the eye at all. He rejected Xing Zhao's kindness. "Thank you, Xiao Xing, but I drove my own car here. I won't trouble you." With that, Lin Yuquan's wife rushed out the door with her daughter. Xing Xiao curled his lips when he saw this. In the dark night he looked like a ruler. So he said to Su Che, "Let's go and watch the show now. Xiao, bring me along too." The secretary was extremely curious. "You sit in the front passenger seat," Xing Xiao said coldly. What a joke. Only the little one could sit in the seat next to him. The secretary was also tactful and nodded non-stop. "Don't worry, Xiao. Even if you didn't say anything, I would have opened the front passenger door." Su Che drove and quickly caught up with Lin Yuquan's wife. At that moment, the secretary also realized that Lin Yuquan's wife was not heading in the direction of the hospital at all. "Where is she going?" "Home," Xing Xiao said firmly. Just now, Lin Yuquan's daughter had said that her father had been playing on the computer all night. In order to clear his name, Lin Yuquan had deliberately hurt his hand. Now that her daughter had revealed such a big secret about her father, Lin Yuquan's wife would naturally be nervous. She was afraid that the police would find out and search the Lin family's house. Because Xing Xiao had deliberately emphasized the word, police, just now. Since Lin Yuquan's wife was feeling guilty, it meant that Lin Yuquan's house was indeed hiding something that the police were interested in. "CO, you can totally become a criminal police officer." Xing Xiao deliberately raised his voice, which made the secretary tactfully shut her mouth. He was intervening now because of that hateful little one. Become a criminal police officer? This kind of thing was suitable for a boxing champion like Tang Yen to run errands. Soon, the car of the three of them followed Lin Yuquan's wife to the entrance of the neighborhood. Xing Xiao had no intention of forcing his way in. He only gave Su Che a look. "Follow them." Since Lin Yuquan's wife was afraid of being investigated, she would definitely think of a way to take the evidence out and destroy it. Therefore, Su Che did not need to break into a private house. He only needed to wait quietly outside. On the other side, Tang Yen and the others were still in Lin Yuquan's ward. However, logically speaking, after his wife picked up her daughter, she should have already arrived at the hospital. However, there was still no movement. Lin Yuquan looked very worried. He really wanted to take out his phone and call his wife, but he was afraid that Tang Yen and the others were still in the ward. He really wanted to find an excuse to let Tang Yen and the others leave, but that would make him even more suspicious. However, because he seemed to be extremely anxious, Tang Yen and the others deliberately stayed in the ward to chat with him. "Mr. Lin, you look very hot. Are you not feeling well? Do you want me to call a nurse in?" "No need. I'm just very tired. I just don't know if you're done questioning, officer. I want to rest." "All right then. If there's anything new, we'll look for you again." Tang Yen gestured to everyone, and they immediately got up from the sofa in the ward. "Then I won't send you off anymore." Lin Yuquan was relieved. He had finally waited until the police left. After Tang Yen and the others left, Lin Yuquan took out his phone and called his wife. "Where are you now?" "I'm at home." Lin Yuquan's wife told Lin Yuquan what had happened in Zhongting. After Lin Yuquan heard this, he almost went crazy. Chapter 685. I got it. I'm working on it. Lin Yuquan's wife said in a fluster, "Yuquan, hurry up and go home. Our family of 3 will immediately go abroad to seek refuge. The money you earned online is enough for our family of 3 to spend for the rest of our lives. When the police relax, we'll leave immediately," Lin Yuquan promised. But could he still leave? Special Assistant Su was quietly guarding Lin Yuquan's door. Soon Lin Yuquan's wife packed a big bag of things. After comforting her daughter, she took advantage of the night to carry the things to the underground parking lot and went straight to the beach. Su Che drove behind her without batting an eyelid. He watched as she carried the black cloth bag to the beach and stuffed a lot of stones into the bag. It seemed that she did have some brains. She actually knew that she was afraid that the bag would float to the surface of the water. Seeing this opportunity, Xing Xiao gestured for Su Che to get out of the car and reel in the net. Su Che received the order and rushed forward. He stopped the black bag in front of Lin Yuquan's wife. When Lin Yuquan's wife saw this, she screamed in fear. "What are you doing?" Su Che carried the bag and walked in front of Xing Xiao. Only then did Lin Yuquan's wife notice Xing Xiao under the tree. "Co Xing? Shouldn't Mrs. Lin be accompanying your husband in the hospital so late at night?" Lin Yuquan's wife suddenly panicked, especially when she saw that the bag was in Xing Xiao's hands. "Please return the bag to me. Please, Co Xing, this is very important to me." "Co Xing, please? You shouldn't be begging me, but them." After Xing Xiao said this, he pointed at the other 2 off-road vehicles that were rushing over. When Lin Yuquan's wife saw this, her face turned pale. She subconsciously wanted to run away, but Su Che grabbed her wrist and subdued her. Tang Yen brought Mu Qiqi and the others out of the car and walked to Xing Xiao. Under the faint light, Xing Xiao sat in the back of the car in a brown coat. One of his slender legs stepped on the stone outside the car. At that moment, everyone looked at him and felt that he was as tall as a giant. On the other hand, they were surprised that a domineering CEO like him had such powerful investigative abilities. "The things you want are in the trunk." Tang Yen asked Officer Long to go forward to confirm and found that the black bag was filled with computers or equipment. The police almost searched the entire Jianchuan to find the computers of the 8 victims. They did not expect these computers to be hidden in the murderer's home. When Lin Yuquan's wife saw this, she could only close her eyes in despair. "Take the people and the things away," Tang Yen ordered. The people and the things were all kept in his bag. Then Tang Yen walked up to Xing Xiao and extended his hand. "Thank you for taking care of me again, Co Xing." Xing Xiao looked at Tang Yan's outstretched right hand and smiled faintly. "Captain Tang, you know why I'm helping you." Then, "It all thanks to Qiqi. I'll leave the rest to Captain Tang. I hope that when the truth comes to light I'll let you know. After all, Zhongting is a sanctuary. I have to get the public relations department busy." Xiao T up. Comma, up. Xiao up, up. Of course, I will to the company. Of the company of Yuf the same. Of the company. Everyone retreated and Mu Qiqi got into her car. Only then did Officer Long dare to sigh. "Isn't this Co Xing too amazing?" At this time, Officer Long finally dared to sigh. "Isn't this Co Xing too amazing? Why do you think that idiot Mu Qiqi is so obsessed with a man?" Feng Shanshan snorted and pointed at her head. "Because he has a terrifying brain." "Why do you think that idiot Mu Qiqi is so infatuated with a man?" The scene of Captain Tang and Co Xing together just now was so shocking. A powerful man indeed has an amazing magnetic field. Feng Shanshan could not deny this. Xing Xiao was used to being strong, so Feng Shanshan did not find it strange at all. What surprised her was that when Tang Yan and Xing Xiao stood together, they actually gave off an oppressive feeling that they were evenly matched. In the night, 3 cars sped back to the police station. Su Che drove behind the 2 police cars. Xing Xiao's secretary sat beside him, not daring to move. "Quick, tell me about how you solved the case. I'm dying of curiosity." Xing Xiao hugged the woman who was jumping up and down and pressed her hands down. "You'll know when we get to the police station. Is there anything you can't do?" Mu Qiqi almost knelt down and offered her knees to Xing Xiao. This man was indeed invincible in everything he did. Xing Xiao reached out and plucked the leaf that had fallen into Mu Qiqi's hat. His expression was very calm. "I can't give birth. Even if you can, I can't bear to. It'll damage your wise and divine image." This thing did not know how painful it was to give birth. Speaking of this topic, Xing Xiao really wanted to invent and research a device that could allow the husband to bear the pain when a woman gave birth. Soon, the 3 cars arrived at the Jianchuan branch office. At that moment, Lin Yuquan's wife was escorted out of the police car in a sorry state. "Officer, please help me take care of my daughter. My daughter is alone at home." "Xiaolong, go pick up her daughter." "Don't alarm Lin Yuquan for now," Tang Yan instructed. Lin Yuquan's wife was most worried that her daughter was now taken care of. She finally felt a little comforted. Immediately after, Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi pushed the door open and got out of the car. "Please see Xing." Tang Yan arranged for old Qing to take Xing Xiao's statement, while he directly brought the black bag to the technical team. "Analyze these things." Then he entered the interrogation room. At that moment, Lin Yuquan's wife had already been handcuffed. Her expression was very anxious, as if she still wanted to struggle. However, Tang Yan directly placed the photos of the 8 dead people in front of her. "I know you're still brewing. It's okay. I'll wait for you to speak." "Officer, I want to see my daughter. These 8 people also want to see their relatives. Who should they look for?" Tang Yan tapped his fingers on the table and asked Lin Yuquan's wife. "They committed suicide. It has nothing to do with us, really. It looks like you're not ready to explain." I said it's okay. I can wait for you. But I hope that when you speak again you'll explain the details of the crime. Otherwise, how will you have the face to see your daughter? 8 people, in their prime, lost their lives because of your trashy scam website. You even deprived them of their last dignity and put them on the internet for people to watch. Are 8 lives that light to you? Lin Yuquan's wife burst into tears. "We didn't want to kill them. That was their own choice." Chapter 686. I want to see Lin Yuquan. Otherwise I won't say anything. Up to you. After Tang Yan said that, he walked out of the interrogation room. This was because he knew very well that Lin Yuquan and his wife had no humanity at all to be able to look down on 8 lives. They were just demons who ate human corpses and bones. This kind of person was usually cruel and antisocial. Moreover, their psychological quality was extremely strong. They could constantly deal with you. Is she not willing to say anything? Feng Shanshan saw Tang Yan come out and quickly went up to ask. "I'll go to the technical department first and see what they've researched." Tang Yan's expression was a little cold. Feng Shanshan knew that he was in a bad mood, so she nodded. "Go ahead." Looking at Lin Yuquan's wife's appearance, she was really delicate and graceful. No one would have expected such a person to be one of the suspects in the crime of fraud. Soon, Officer Long brought Lin Yuquan's daughter to the police station. When Lin Yuquan's wife saw this, she immediately burst into tears. Even so, she gritted her teeth and refused to say a word. Murder? Fraud? Cybercrime? None of this had anything to do with her. She seemed to be an innocent woman. She had been brought here by the vicious police and endured inhumane torture. She had even been separated from her daughter. At this moment she must be thinking like this. Xin, if you refuse to confess, you won't be able to hug your daughter. The interrogating police officer said. I'm innocent. You police officers arrested me randomly. Those 8 children committed suicide on their own. What does it have to do with me? I want to see my daughter. Let go of me. If it weren't for my current identity, I would really want to slap her and hit her against the wall. I can't even buckle her down. Feng Shanshan almost went crazy with anger when she saw this. There's no need. After being arrested, criminals always have to act shamelessly. They have to pretend to be innocent, put on an act, and pretend to be pitiful. Aren't these all their tricks? Mu Qiqi crossed her arms and said, Don't worry. The dead really can speak. Look, the evidence that Lin Yuquan's wife wants to destroy is the best last words left behind by the dead. How did your man find all this evidence? I want to know too. Mu Qiqi shrugged. At the moment, Sheng Xiao was taking his statement in the break room of the police station. To tell the truth, the police felt that they had never entertained such a noble man. But very quickly he explained the cause of the matter and gave the police what they wanted to know the most. After old Qing heard this, he could not help but sigh. Xiao Xing, it's really a waste that you're not a criminal police officer. When my business can't continue, I can consider giving it a try. Xiao Xing, are you kidding me? Old Qing scratched his head in a daze. Everyone knows that you're a business genius. Are you done recording? It's over. It's over. Xiao Xing, you can leave now. Old Qing quickly got up and walked Sheng Xiao to the entrance of the police station. At that moment, Mu Qiqi came up to him and kissed him on the cheek. I still have a while. Do you want to go home first? I'm reading some documents in the car. Why don't you watch it in the lounge? The lights in the car are so dim and it hurts your eyes. After Mu Qiqi said that, she leaned closer to Sheng Xiao and continued, I can see that once you made your move, a large number of your fans immediately appeared in the police station. They really want to get close to their idol. What about you? Are you kidding me? Of course I'm completely devoted to you. Mu Qiqi blinked at Sheng Xiao. Wait for me, Sheng Xiao shook his head helplessly. In the end, he could only ask Su Che to take out all the documents while he sat in the lounge of the police station. Today he could be considered open and above board. At that moment, the technical department was repairing the broken computers. However, the results were not that fast. Captain Tang, it might take a night to recover here. Tomorrow morning, the people from the technical department will submit a report to you. Tang Yen nodded and patted his subordinate on the shoulder. Thank you for your hard work. It's not hard at all. We also want to catch this brutal murderer. After Tang Yen finished walking through the technical department, he went to the chief's office to apply for a search warrant. He wanted to conduct a thorough search of Lin Yuquan's home. However, the technical department did not have any concrete evidence, so the chief did not agree. When you get the report from the technical department tomorrow morning, you can come back and mention it to me. Chief, we can apply for a search warrant tomorrow, but Lin Yuquan must be summoned immediately because he will soon realize that his wife and daughter are at the police station. If he runs away at that time, it will be difficult to chase after him. After the chief heard this, he nodded. You can bring him back for interrogation, but if the technical department doesn't have any concrete evidence, release him immediately when the time is up. Understood. Cybercrime was different from other crimes. Finding the murder weapon and finding the fingerprints might be enough to convict a murderer. But cybercriminals were cunning and full of tricks. Moreover, they often had unique skills. Your thinking speed couldn't keep up with their hand speed. Then Tang Yen walked out of the chief's office and arranged for his subordinates to bring Lin Yuquan to the hospital for questioning. Of course, he also saw Sheng Xiao sitting in the lounge. So he walked over. Xiao Sheng, have you finished your statement? I'm waiting here for the little one at home, Sheng Xiao replied. I heard that the interrogation has encountered a problem. That's right. Although we've obtained the deceased computer and the people in the bureau have verified it, before we find any concrete evidence of the relationship between Lin Yuquan and the Dark Abyss, even if we bring him back for questioning, he can only be released when the time is up. I believe in your technical department, Sheng Xiao said calmly. In that case, Xiao Sheng can bring Mu Qi home. After saying this, Tang Yen returned to the interrogation room. Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan both looked at the interrogation room. It turned out that when people were shameless, they could overturn their own confessions time and time again. They could frame others and they could act shamelessly in all kinds of ways. I really don't know how her daughter will feel when she learns that her mother is such a person. Today's interrogation definitely won't end easily. You should go back, Tang Yen said as he walked to Mu Qiqi's side. Mu Qiqi looked at Lin Yuquan's wife and nodded. Remember to contact me if there's any progress. Okay, Feng Shanshan promised her. Mu Qiqi quickly walked to Sheng Xiao and the two of them quickly disappeared from the branch office. At that moment, old Qing ran over and said to Tang Yen, Is this Xiao Xing really not a god? How does he know more about criminal psychology than the police? How did he force Lin Yuquan's wife to lose her patience? Comfort, inducement, psychological suggestion. Through these methods, he successfully planted a shadow of fear in Lin Yuquan's wife's heart. With a few words, he managed to get important information from Lin Yuquan's daughter. He can practically read minds. Chapter 687. After the two of them left, while waiting for Lin Yuquan, Tang Yen walked to Lin Yuquan's daughter's side. He looked at the little girl standing helplessly on the stool and waiting. This was also a breakthrough. Realizing this problem, Feng Shanshan quickly stood in front of Tang Yen and said only 2 words, "Let me do it." Tang Yen was stunned for a second and nodded. "Don't scare her. I'm a girl." Hearing Feng Shanshan's words, Tang Yen finally couldn't help but smile because he had to tell the truth. After he got busy, all the women in the bureau were used as men, and the men were used as beasts. How could they remember that she was a girl? Feng Shanshan glared at Tang Yen and pushed him back. Then, she stood in front of Lin Xinxin and said to her, "Little friend, are you worried about mommy?" Lin Xinxin rubbed her eyes. She looked very sleepy but she still nodded. "I want mommy. Mommy is talking to the police inside. She'll be out soon. Can I hug you to sleep? Can I see mommy when I wake up?" Lin Xinxin asked in the direction of the interrogation room. She still didn't know what that place was used for. "Then tell me first, does daddy really like to play on the computer at home?" Lin Xinxin was absent-minded because children couldn't concentrate. Then she answered Feng Shanshan's question. "Yes, daddy will play on the computer for a long time after I sleep. What about mommy? Is there anything strange about her?" Lin Xinxin thought about it carefully. "Mommy always coaxes me to sleep and then goes out to play by herself. Do you know what she plays?" "Buying a computer. I have a lot of computers at home," Lin Xinxin answered innocently. Feng Shanshan got the answer and looked up at Tang Yen. "It seems that Lin Yuquan's wife took away the computers of the 8 deceased. Be good, Xinxin. Can you go home with me to sleep? I also have a computer at home and a lot of delicious candy. Your mother will stay here for a while. She asked me to take good care of you. Can you come home with me?" Lin Xinxin glanced at the interrogation room and then at Feng Shanshan. Finally she nodded. "Xinxin is sleepy. Xinxin wants to sleep." Feng Shanshan hugged Lin Xinxin and said to Tang Yen, "I'll take her home. You work hard here." Tang Yen nodded. "I'll send someone to send you. I'm worried about you driving alone." Feng Shanshan did not refuse. Instead, she held Lin Xinxin and waited on the chair. However, just as Tang Yen was about to ask someone to send Feng Shanshan home, he suddenly received a call from his subordinate. Lin Yuquan had escaped. "Don't go home yet. Take Lin Xinxin to sleep in the lounge. Lin Yuquan has escaped." Feng Shanshan understood Tang Yan's thoughts. After all, if she left now, it would be easy for Lin Yuquan to target her. It was very likely that he wanted to snatch his daughter away. Therefore she carried Lin Xinxin to the lounge. Then Tang Yen went to Old Cheng. Immediately put Lin Yuquan in the wanted list. I don't believe that a person with such a high sense of investigation doesn't have a criminal record. Okay, Captain Tang. After Tang Yen gave the order, he went straight to the chief's office and applied to arrest Lin Yuquan. The chief immediately gave his instructions, so Tang Yen immediately led his men to take action again. Feng Shanshan coaxed Lin Xinxin out of sleep. When she saw that Tang Yen was about to leave again, she tugged at the corner of his shirt and said, "I'll go too." "You don't have to go. Stay here and watch Lin Xinxin." "Tang Yen, be good." Tang Yen had only used this word on her before. This meant that the two of them were close. Thinking that she didn't know anything and might be a burden if she went out, she finally nodded. "Then you guys be careful." Tang Yen silently patted her head and led the team off. Jianchuan tonight was destined to be extraordinary. Late at night, Banyan Courtyard. After Mu Qiqi took a shower, she had already laid down and fallen asleep. However, Su Che called Xing Xiao. Lin Yuquan had escaped. Xing Xiao glanced at the little thing and went to the study. He instructed Su Che to immediately head to Zhongting and bring some people to secretly guard Zhongting because Lin Yuquan had nowhere else to go. He might sneak into Zhongting to hide for the night. The police would be the first to suspect Zhongting, but they would also think that Lin Yuquan would not be so stupid. However, the most dangerous place was also the safest place. In the branch office, Lin Yuquan's wife refused to let go. She insisted that the family of 3 had nothing to do with the dark abyss. When the police asked where the computer came from, Lin Yuquan's wife calmly said that she had picked it up. Feng Shanshan really couldn't stand it anymore. She went to the bureau chief and asked him to let her try interrogating Lin Yuquan's wife. The bureau chief had been up all night and was very tired. He nodded. "Let's give it a try and see if Tang Yan's judgment is right." Hearing this, Feng Shanshan felt a lot of pressure. However, she still entered the interrogation room and sat in front of Lin Yuquan's wife. Lin Yuquan escaped. A sneer suddenly flashed across Lin Yuquan's wife's face. "Don't laugh. Just because he escaped doesn't mean you're safe. Coincidentally, he escaped, which means that he's tacitly admitted his crime. As the #1 suspect in the suicide case, he's wanted. Lin Yuquan's wife lowered her head again and didn't want to speak. Your daughter told me that you were the one who retrieved the computers of the 8 victims. How did you get them back? I don't know what you're talking about. Feng Shanshan raised her hand and looked at her wristwatch. There are still 5 hours before dawn. The people from the technical department have already repaired 2 computers. If you don't speak now, you'll completely lose the chance to fight for a reduced sentence. This has nothing to do with me. Those 8 children committed suicide. You have no right to convict me. As a woman, you should have noticed that Luo Mingxian took the wrong computer, right? You definitely didn't dare to tell Lin Yuquan about this. Feng Shanshan relaxed her posture and stared at Lin Yuquan's wife. Before Luo Mingxian died, he found someone to repair the computer. However, because he was threatened by you, he panicked and took the wrong computer. Even so what? You don't have any evidence. That's right. When the computer was brought back, it had already been remotely cleared. However, unfortunately, the police found an encrypted folder in Luo Mingxuan's computer. Lin Yuquan's wife's expression began to change subtly. You're lying. Believe it or not, I'm guessing that the next 7 computers have all been handled in the same way. But since they've been handled, why did you rush to destroy them? I've been thinking about this. Chapter 688. Alright, let's not talk about what you're panicking about for now. However, Lin Yuquan has obviously abandoned you. Lin Yuquan's wife seemed to disagree with this. She believed that as long as Lin Yuquan wasn't arrested, the police wouldn't be able to convict her. You definitely don't think so, but I still have to tell you some unfortunate news. Have you forgotten that the black bag you destroyed included your husband's computer? Lin Yuquan's wife's forehead started to sweat. Feng Shanshan carefully observed Lin Yuquan's wife. Actually, Lin Yuquan's computer wasn't in the black bag, but it was obvious that Lin Yuquan's wife had obsessive-compulsive disorder. When she heard Feng Shanshan mention it, she didn't quite remember if she had also taken Lin Yuquan's computer, so she started to panic. Although it's a little difficult, the police are trying their best to decipher it. Lin Yuquan knows that the computer is in the hands of the police, and the evidence is in the hands of the police. Do you think he will still care about you? If we can't find Lin Yuquan, then we can only sue you first. I'm just having a headache. If we send you to prison, which orphanage should we send your daughter to? Feng Shanshan's words were like a sharp knife that stabbed into Lin Yuquan's wife's heart. Think about it carefully. If you confess, I can still apply for leniency for you. If you insist on doing things your own way, then hold on. Anyway, even without your confession, we can still find Lin Yuquan. After saying that, Feng Shanshan pretended to get up and deliberately put on an act with her senior at the entrance of the interrogation room. Shanshan, Captain Tang asked you to watch Lin Xinxin. What are you doing here? Her parents don't care about her. Why should we care? She's hungry, that's none of my business. It's not my responsibility to take care of her. Let her starve. Soon, the sound of a child crying came from the entrance of the interrogation room. Those cries were sharp and made people break down. This almost made Lin Yuquan's wife go crazy. You're even bullying a child. Do you police have any hearts? The police only care about investigating cases. How can they have hearts? The crying continued. Lin Yuquan's wife's psychological defenses were also collapsing. She was indeed cunning, but her only love was for her daughter. It was precisely because of this that Feng Shanshan could find her weakness. On the other side, Tang Yin was chasing after Lin Yuquan. After leaving the hospital, Lin Yuquan had disappeared. Moreover, he had deliberately avoided the surveillance cameras. One could imagine how strong his anti-surveillance awareness was. He did want to hide in Zhongting for a night, but it was a risky decision because he knew how smart Xing Xiao was. Would Xing Xiao let him off after causing such a huge ruckus in Zhongting? Therefore, he directly took a taxi to the mountainous area with complicated terrain. The driver had originally complained that he did not want to go to such a remote place in the middle of the night. However, Lin Yuquan had a weapon in his hands, which was equivalent to threatening the driver. Halfway through, he received a call from Old Cheng. Captain Tang, Lin Yuquan has another identity. His name is Lung Wenjie. He served 2 years in prison for endangering network security. After his release, he used this identity to do business in H-City. He has a lot of unknown income under his name. Follow the clues and continue to investigate. Therefore, Lin Yuquan used this identity to establish the Dark Abyss and used another identity to secretly launder money. Get someone to interrogate Lin Yuquan's wife. She has to confess even if she doesn't want to. This was probably the legendary saying that a cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. When Lin Yuquan's wife heard the news and knew that the police had even found out about Lung Wenjia, she also knew that there was no need to persist. Most importantly, she had been tortured by the child's crying for an entire hour. I was the one who took the computers of the 8 victims. That's right. Yuquan used remote control to hack into their computers and used viruses to continuously coerce the 8 people to use their lives to pay off the debt. That's because some perverts abroad like to watch this live broadcast. Feng Shanshan and another police officer sat among them and listened to Lin Yuquan's wife's desperate words. They couldn't stand the coercion and agreed to commit suicide. They also went to the agreed place, put down the computer, and then went to the assembly point to commit suicide. We provided the method of suicide for them to choose. We chose the assembly point a few days in advance. Usually we chose a rented house. We also installed pinhole cameras inside. After the live broadcast, we emptied the camera's storage. All of this was achieved by Yuquan through remote technology. I really didn't expect the police to be so serious. It was clearly a suicide. I also didn't expect the police to lock onto my husband so quickly. I thought that even if the dark abyss was discovered, we could just shut it down. After all, it's difficult to obtain evidence on the internet. That's why I said that the police are really resourceful. You husband and wife are indeed very difficult to deal with. However, your husband hid in the wrong place and dared to go to Zhongting. Feng Shanshan sneered. I want to know now if your husband deliberately lured Luo Mingshan into the dark abyss to gamble. He's a good target, isn't he? Then let me tell you. If your husband hadn't lured Luo Mingshan, perhaps you wouldn't have been discovered so quickly. Feng Shanshan told her the truth. Those 2 people from Zhongting aren't that easy to deceive. Feng Shanshan pointed at Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi. Your daughter is still so young. If she knew that her parents were actually murderous villains, I don't know how she would face you in life in the future, Feng Shanshan said sternly. Have you ever felt guilty? Lives. Aren't we used to it? Lin Yuquan's wife laughed self-deprecatingly. If it weren't for their greed, they wouldn't have been tempted by us. Other people's greed is not a reason for you to despise other people's lives. If one day your daughter is treated like this, how would you feel? Wei Ling, your death is not to be regretted. Really, I just pity your daughter. The interrogation of Lin Yuquan's wife went very smoothly. She had already explained everything that needed to be said. The chief immediately gave important instructions and issued a wanted order until Lin Yuquan was arrested. Tang Yen had not slept for a day and night. Other than tracking down Lin Yuquan's information, he also went to Lin Yuquan's home to search. This time he really found Lin Yuquan's computer. Now he had all the evidence he wanted. Feng Shanshan told Tang Yen to rest. After all, his health was also very important. However, at this moment they also saw the image of Officer Gao leaving in a car. I really didn't expect that cybercrime would have to rely on people like you who don't understand the internet to run to the truth. Chapter 689. Tang Yin, although I don't want to admit it, you're still so charming. If you get tired of this little girl one day, my arms will be waiting for you. This was the last provocation from Officer Gao. I told you I like young ones. With that, Tang Yin turned around and went to the lounge. You'll grow old too, Officer Gao said to Feng Shanshan. What should I do? I asked him the same question, but he told me that when I'm old, he'll already be an old man and I'll still be his girl. Officer Gao snorted coldly and drove away. Although she was very unwilling, a loss was a loss. She came with her head held high and left with her tail between her legs. It really made people feel dejected and depressed. In one night, the case progressed at lightning speed. When Mu Qiqi arrived at the branch office, all her questions had been answered. Now all that was left was to hunt down Lin Yuquan. Wei Ling has already explained the place where the computer was collected and other details. Now we're just waiting to arrest Lin Yuquan. I feel like I've slept for a whole night and missed a lot of things. Mu Qiqi felt that it was a pity. What's there to feel pity about? You noticed Lin Yuquan and your CEO discovered Wei Ling. You guys provided the key to solving the case. Didn't you also successfully pry Wei Ling's mouth open? Mu Qiqi laughed. I think after you followed Tang Yin, you've really loved your family and your country. You've turned over a new leaf. Get lost. Luo Mingshuan's uncle has rushed over from another place. He's in the autopsy room now. Do you want to take a look? Mu Qiqi nodded and went to the autopsy room with Feng Shanshan. Luo Mingxuan's uncle was dressed in clean and tidy clothes with a leather bag on his shoulder. He wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses and looked like an honest businessman. When he saw his nephew, whom he had doted on for a long time, he couldn't help but feel sad. This child left just like that. How am I going to explain it to his aunt? Mu Qiqi didn't dare to go in. She stood outside the door with Feng Shanshan. Anyone would feel sad to see such a scene. Luo Mingxian was led into hell by Lin Yuquan. Luo Mingxian should have had a beautiful life, but he was too close to the devil. He wasn't Lin Yuquan's target. I should let Lin Yuquan have a taste of being forced to commit suicide. After Mu Qiqi said that, she mustered up her courage and entered the autopsy room. Soon, Tang Yin received news that a body was found in the mountains near Jianshuan. It belonged to a taxi driver from a company. After the police's investigation, they discovered that the suspect, Lin Yuquan, had hijacked a car and escaped. He had even killed the driver to silence him. After carefully studying Lin Yuquan's escape route, Tang Yin decided to send the police to catch him. He had almost mobilized the entire police force in the branch. However, halfway there, Tang Yin suddenly heard something. The taxi driver's body was thrown on the side of the road without any concealment. This meant that Lin Yuquan was in a hurry when he escaped. However, this was not in line with Lin Yuquan's personality. He had left such an obvious mark. So, before entering the mountain area, Tang Yin suddenly said to Xiaolong, "As the vice captain, you lead the team to continue the chase. I'll turn around and return to the police station." "Captain Tang? I suspect that Lin Yuquan wants to take away the strength of the police force and then attack the branch office. Otherwise, he wouldn't have caused such a big commotion and left behind such important clues." After they left, there were not many elite backbones left in the branch office. If Lin Yuquan really thought of a way to sneak in, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Okay, I'll listen to Captain Tang's orders." Tang Yin turned around and immediately returned to the branch office. At that moment, the express delivery belonging to the branch office arrived at the entrance. "This is Captain Tang's package. Someone come and sign for it." When Feng Shanshan heard that it was her man's, she was puzzled because Tang Yin never bought anything online. So she walked over and asked the courier, "Where did this come from?" "I don't know either. A customer asked me to deliver it." The courier was also very innocent. "Anyway, hurry up and sign for it. I still have to rush to deliver the next order." Feng Shanshan looked at the package in his hand warily and immediately called the other people in the police station. "How about this? Put it on the ground first. I'll sign for your order and you can leave." "Okay." The courier put down the item and waited for Feng Shanshan to sign for it. He did not realize that there might be something dangerous inside. When the courier was about to leave, Feng Shanshan grabbed his arm and said, "Let me give you a piece of advice. In the future, if someone wants to send something to the police station, don't accept the order." The courier suddenly understood what Feng Shanshan meant. A trace of surprise and fear flashed in his eyes as he ran away. Then Mu Qiqi and the others arrived at the entrance of the branch office and looked at the package on the ground. "Evacuate everyone immediately." Old Ching immediately said to the people in the hall, "Now." This was the first time Mu Qiqi and Old Ching had encountered such an urgent and dangerous situation. They quickly went to inform everyone to evacuate from the branch office. At that moment, Tang Yin returned from outside. "Captain Tang, don't come in," Old Ching said, sweating profusely. "The people from the bomb disposal team will be here soon." Tang Yin saw the package on the ground and also looked at the lawn behind the branch office. Fortunately, this was not a bustling area. "We can't wait for the bomb disposal team." The beeping sound was like a life-threatening talisman, pulling at everyone's nerves. Therefore, Tang Yin walked to the package and said to Old Ching, "Give me the knife." "Captain Tang, trust me, give me the knife." Old Ching did not know about Tang Yan's undercover experience. At that time, in the deep mountains, the only thing he had learned from the drug dealers was demoning and defusing bombs. Old Ching sighed and handed the knife to Tang Yin. Tang Yin opened the box and saw the true appearance of the bomb. Old Ching, after evacuating everyone, immediately pay attention to Lin Yuquan's movements. He must be around and waiting for an opportunity to take advantage of the chaos. "Captain Tang, I told you it'll be fine. It was better to watch less movies." Time bombs were not as scary as one imagined, and there was no need to choose between the red and blue lines. Moreover, this was a homemade bomb, and its power was far inferior to those of professionals. It could be imagined that Lin Yuquan had bought it on the black market last night. As long as he found the detonator and removed it, the bomb would be useless. Old Qing sighed, left Tang Yin and immediately carried out the order. Feng Shanshan was outside the branch office. When she saw Old Qing come out, she immediately asked him, "Senior brother Qing, where's Tang Yin?" "He's defusing the bomb," Old Qing replied. "He asked me to trust him." Chapter 690. After Feng Shanshan heard this, she almost broke down. She unconsciously took a small step forward, but she was pulled back by Mu Qiqi. "Clear your head," Mu Qiqi said as she supported Feng Shanshan. "How can Captain Tang feel at ease if you do this? That's not Xingxiao. Of course you can be so calm." Feng Shanshan pushed Mu Qiqi away. "I only know that you'll only be more of a hindrance if you go. Do you think Captain Tang won't die fast enough?" Feng Shanshan didn't dare to move again. She just looked at the entrance of the police station. Her heart was completely gripped by the man inside. At that moment, Old Qing immediately stood up and observed. Tang Yin had said that Lin Yuquan would definitely be mixed in the crowd. Time passed minute by minute, but there was still no movement in the branch office. At that moment, Old Qing saw a man wearing a black mask standing under a banyan tree not far away with a little girl beside him. Therefore he immediately went downstairs and asked the chief who was standing in the crowd. The chief immediately signaled for the rest of the people to surround the banyan tree and evacuate the crowd to a safe place. Lin Yuquan might have noticed the police's unusual movements, so he immediately grabbed his hostage and used the homemade gun he bought on the black market to point at the forehead of a 16 or 17-year-old girl in his arms. "If you dare to come over, I'll shoot her. It's a pity that I didn't see your entire police station explode. However, it's worth it to kill that annoying captain." Lin Xinxin was in Mu Qiqi's arms at that moment. When she saw her father threatening the hostage, she was so scared that she started crying. "Daddy, Daddy." When Lin Yuquan saw Lin Xinxin, his emotions fluctuated a little. However, he quickly calmed down. "Send my daughter to my side. Otherwise, I'll take this woman's life right away." "Lin Yuquan, are you crazy? Do you know how dangerous it is for your daughter to be by your side?" Mu Qiqi immediately asked him. "I don't care. I have to have my daughter." "I'll exchange with the hostage in your hands," Mu Qiqi suggested. "Your daughter is only a few years old. She can't withstand your torment." "I don't believe you. It's because of you. It's because of you. You're the one who noticed me. You're the one who destroyed my family and everything." Lin Yuquan was extremely emotional. "I only want my daughter. Get lost." The entrance of the police station was already full of danger. It was difficult to advance or retreat. Most importantly, did Tang Yin get rid of the bomb inside? "Give Lin Xinxin to him first and get the hostage back," the director ordered. He actually dared to take such a big risk to come to the branch office to kidnap her. That means he really cares about his daughter. "Director, carry out my orders," the director said sternly. "What's there to discuss? Isn't your captain going to rescue them?" "That bomb cannot be defused." Lin Yuquan laughed. "I hate you police officers the most. None of this has anything to do with my wife. You arrest anyone you see." For a moment, Feng Shanshan wished she could go forward and perish together with this scumbag. However, at this critical moment, just as Old Cheng was about to hand Lin Xinxin over, Tang Yan's voice came from behind everyone. "Wait. Captain Tang, Tang Yan?" Everyone turned around and saw Tang Yan coming out with ammunition that was no longer dangerous. Although his hands were inevitably injured, it was still a ghastly sight to see from afar that his hands were covered in blood. Feng Shanshan immediately went up to him. "Tang, don't forget what I told you." After saying that to Feng Shanshan, Tang Yin walked in front of the director. At that moment, all Feng Shanshan could think of was Tang Yin saying that he would crawl back to her side even if he had to crawl. Therefore, she suppressed her worry for Tang Yin and stood beside Mu Qiqi. "I told you to trust him." Feng Shanshan didn't say anything else, but she had to admit that she had almost lost her mind earlier. She also had to admit that Mu Qiqi was much better than her in terms of the overall situation. Tang Yin walked in front of the director and gestured for him to handle it. No one in the entire branch was more experienced than him in facing these vicious people. The director nodded. He didn't know what kind of big move this guy was holding back. In this situation, the murderer had already provoked the branch office. It would be strange if he could still endure it. "I really didn't expect you to come out alive like this." Lin Yuquan was surprised by Tang Yan's ability. "There are a lot of things you don't know." Tang Yin pulled Lin Xinxin from Mu Qiqi's arms. "Lin Yuquan, you seem to have misunderstood your situation. Your wife, daughter, and even everything about you are in the hands of the police. You still dare to negotiate with the police? You don't care about the hostage in my hands anymore? Lin Yuquan sneered. Do you believe that I can shoot him? If you shoot him, your family of 3 won't be able to survive. You're not that stupid. I've already killed so many people anyway. I don't care if I kill one more. Lin Yuquan threatened the hostage and spouted nonsense. What about your daughter? Tang Yin hugged Lin Xinxin and asked Lin Yuquan. Don't you care about your daughter? She'll understand me sooner or later. You're wrong. You're a murderer. No one will try to understand a murderer. Moreover, you've caused such a big commotion that she won't be able to live in the future. Do you think she'll still understand you? Daddy? Lin Xinxin started crying. Daddy isn't a bad guy. Daddy? Lin Yuquan was a little distracted and looked very nervous. Since it's already like this, she has to learn to accept it. What about your wife? What you're doing is equivalent to sending her to hell. How can you bear to do that? My wife? Where is my wife? At the mention of Wei Ling, Lin Yuquan immediately looked around. The moment he turned his head, the sniper immediately attacked and shot Lin Yuquan in the neck, causing him to fall to the ground instantly. Tang Yin. Chief, this is just anesthesia. I'm sorry I didn't report it to you beforehand. I can understand. It's an emergency. You make the arrangements here. After the chief said this, he immediately ordered his men to eliminate the security risks at the police station. Although Lin Yuquan had fallen to the ground, the girl he was holding did not dare to move. I have a bomb on me. Tang Yin gestured for the rest to evacuate immediately and then went forward. Don't be nervous. I'll definitely let you be safe. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of the bomb again. Feng Shanshan felt that if she followed this man, her heart would stop beating sooner or later. Captain Tang, I'm fine. Tang Yin gestured for her to sit down and comforted her. Don't worry, I know how to defuse the bomb. I'll save you. Chapter 691. Everyone held their breaths, especially Feng Shanshan. She had been in the building just now, but now she was on flat ground. As long as she was at a safe distance, she could see Tang Yin. For dozens of long seconds, her heart was beating faster than her heart. At that moment, the girl could clearly see Tang Yin's hands trembling, so she comforted Tang Yin instead. Brother police, it's okay. Just do whatever you want. If I really die from the explosion, I'll blame it on my bad luck. If I survive, I'll definitely pester you to marry me in the future. The little girl was quite optimistic. You probably won't die, but I won't marry you because I already have a girlfriend. With that, Tang Yin threw the defused bomb into the open space and handed it to the bomb disposal team to deal with. Then he helped the girl up and handed Lin Yuquan to his colleague. At that moment, Feng Shanshan could not hold it in anymore. She went forward and hugged the man's waist. There were so many people around, but Feng Shanshan could not care less. Tang Yin was stunned for a moment, but he did not resist. In such an emergency, he was always used to rushing to the front and did not take care of Feng Shanshan's feelings. I'm fine. You're fine. I was scared half to death. If something really happened to you, who would be able to take it between the professor and me? Feng Shanshan rarely cried, but at that moment, her emotions were complicated. She could only use tears to express it. Tang Yin hugged her and comforted her for a moment, even though he knew in his heart that his relationship with Feng Shanshan could no longer be hidden in the future. Captain Tang and Shanshan are a couple. When did this happen? These two are still playing in the dark? To be Captain Tang's woman, just thinking about it makes me feel good for Shanshan. Let me tell you, Captain Tang's nose is big and straight. He must be very strong in that aspect. After the crisis was resolved, the men started gossiping. Moreover, they even said some dirty jokes. However, Muchichi looked at the scene not far away and laughed. That bastard Lin Yuquan had finally been caught, even though he had caused such a big mess before he was arrested. Soon, the Jianchuan branch office announced that the mass suicide case of teenagers that had lasted for a few days had been solved. Of course, the matter of Lin Yuquan carrying ammunition to the police station to provoke them was also exposed by the news. While Feng Shanshan and Muchichi were lovey-dovey, what she did not know was that she was about to be in big trouble. After Lin Yuquan was arrested, everything became smooth because the police were able to fully grasp everything about the dark abyss. This bastard. In the early years, there were still some people who lost their lives. It's just that technology wasn't developed at that time, so it was hard to find the real culprit. Now that we've caught this bastard, It's enough for him to be shot 10 times over. I'll leave the rest to you. Tang Yin patted his colleague's shoulder. I still have to go to the director's office to apologize. If it weren't for Captain Tang today, many people would have died here. I really didn't expect you to know how to defuse bombs. Tang Yin did not explain and went straight to the director's office. Director. Okay, I understand what you want to say. Now go and look at your hand. You're going to get married. Why are you still rushing forward so recklessly? Tang Yin did not say anything else and walked out of the director's office in a relaxed mood. Feng Shanshan was waiting at the door, her eyes red. Captain Tang, she's so worried about you. Don't you have anything to say? Officer Long could not take it anymore and pushed Feng Shanshan. Tang Yin caught her and said to everyone, "Everyone, you've worked hard. When the case is completely over, I'll treat you to a meal. But today you want to eat? The two of you actually didn't tell anyone about such a big thing. When the time comes, you have to explain it in detail. Captain Tang, you've been a straight man for 10,000 years. I can't believe you can still find a girlfriend." Tang Yin did not agree. He let Feng Shanshan support him, and the two of them walked out of the branch office. The group of people were envious. However, he was the captain with outstanding ability. He was tall and mighty, and he was also a hero who saved the world. It was normal for girls to like him, so they could not be envious. At this moment, senior brother Long poked Mu Qiqi's back. "Don't look at him. Your family is here too." At this time? Mu Qiqi frowned. Sure enough, she saw her man's car parked at the entrance of the branch office. Mu Qiqi packed her things and walked out, only to see Xing Xiao with a very cold expression. Xiao, I don't want to talk to you now," Xing Xiao said directly. "School is about to start. You don't have to report to the branch office every day." Mu Qiqi was stunned. She was very nervous. She suddenly understood why this man, who had always doted on her, was really angry. Therefore, although she felt very uncomfortable, she obediently shut up and did not say a word in front of Xing Xiao. Soon Xing Xiao sent her home. But after throwing her home, he went straight to Zhongting. Mu Qiqi looked at her man's back as he left and began to reflect. Was she too complacent? This was the first time in so many years that Xing Xiao had really given her a hard time, even though she felt that she deserved it. "Qiqi, you're back so early today?" When Mama Xing saw Mu Qiqi in the living room, she quickly went up to her. "I just saw 8th brother. Where is he?" "He left again." Mu Qiqi sighed. "Mommy, Xiao seems to be angry with me. Tell Mommy what's the reason?" What Mu Qiqi could think of the most was that when she was facing Lin Yuquan today, she had offered to exchange hostages. At that time, she had said it casually out of instinct to protect the child. It was just that she had once promised Xing Xiao that she would not let herself fall into danger. Today, she actually took the initiative to court death. "You know better than us how much 8th brother cares about you. Letting you be a forensic doctor is already breaking his limit. You still. Xiaoqi, Mommy can't help you with this matter." "I'm sorry, Mommy. It's my problem." Mama Xing patted Mu Qiqi's shoulder. She did not participate in this matter between the young couple. It was obvious that Xing Xiao wanted to teach her a lesson so that she would remember it. Mu Qiqi knew Xing Xiao's goal, so she could only return to her bedroom dejectedly. She was the one who had been rash and did not think it through. She did not know how long Xing Xiao would be angry. She knew that he would not give up on her so easily, but when she thought of his worries, Mu Qiqi felt so guilty that her heart ached and she felt extremely uncomfortable. She had lost her sense of propriety. On the other side, Xing Xiao was not far from home. He had to teach the little one a lesson. Recently, she had become more and more complacent. She dared to go to any occasion and take on any kind of trouble. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.